Throughout history, countless treasures have disappeared, leaving behind a tantalizing blend of mystery, legend, and speculation. These lost treasures, whether plundered in the chaos of war, hidden away by their owner, or simply swallowed by the sands of time, form a rich tapestry of intrigue and enigma that continues to captivate the human imagination. In this video, we will embark on a chilling journey through time, exploring the stories of lost treasures that have perplexed historians and treasure hunters for centuries. Each treasure carries with it a unique story of creation, loss, and the enduring desire to uncover the unknown. From the sacred Menorah of the Second Temple, looted by the Romans and lost to history, to the enigmatic amber room stolen by the Nazis and shrouded in the fog of war. These treasures represent far more than material wealth. They are pieces of history, symbols of cultural heritage, and testaments to the times from which they were vanished. We'll delve into the cryptic clues and tantalizing hints left behind, examining the legends that have grown around these treasures and the numerous expeditions undertaken to find them. The allure of these lost fortunes extends beyond mere wealth. They are chapters of history that remained unresolved, each one holding a story that continues to elude us. As we navigate through the shadows of the past, we will uncover the dark narratives intertwined with these treasures, from the Confederate gold hidden at the end of the American Civil War to the crown jewels of Ireland, mysteriously stolen in 1907. We'll explore modern heists like the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum theft, the largest art theft in history, where priceless masterpieces were stolen in the dead of night, leaving behind nothing but empty frames and unanswered questions. Join us as we venture into the unknown, piecing together the fragments of history and legend that surround these lost treasures. This journey is not just about uncovering wealth, it's about rediscovering the past and unraveling the mysteries that have captivated and confounded generations. The search for these vanished fortunes begins now, as we dive deep into the stories, the legends, and the enduring enigma of history's greatest lost treasures. The Menorah from the Second Temple stands as one of the most significant and enigmatic artifacts from ancient Jewish history. This sacred candelabrum, originally housed in the Second Temple of Jerusalem, has transcended its religious function to become a powerful symbol of the Jewish identity and endurance. Crafted according to divine specifications detailed in the Hebrew Bible, the menorah was a 7-branched candelabrum made of pure gold. It was not merely a religious artifact, but a central piece in the liturgical practices of the temple. Each branch of the menorah was meticulously designed, adorned with cups, knobs, and flowers, echoing the imagery of a stylized almond tree. The menorah was intended to be lit daily, a perpetual symbol of divine presence and guidance. The historical journey of the menorah from the Second Temple is as dramatic as its design is intricate. The Second Temple, rebuilt after the Babylonian exile and subsequently expanded by Herod the Great, was the spiritual and cultural heart of Jewish life until its destruction. In 70 AD, Roman forces led by Titus captured Jerusalem and razed the Second Temple, a devastating blow to the Jewish people. During the sacking of the temple, the menorah, along with other sacred treasures, was seized by the Romans. The capture and removal of the menorah by the Romans were immortalized in the Arch of Titus in Rome. This monumental arch, which still stands today, features detailed reliefs depicting Roman soldiers carrying the menorah and other spoils from the temple. The menorah's description on the Arch of Titus is among the most enduring images from antiquity, symbolizing both Roman conquest and the resilience of Jewish heritage. Following its removal from Rome, the menorah was paraded in a grand triumph and eventually placed in the Temple of Peace, constructed by Emperor Vespasian. It was here that the menorah's tale grows murky. Historical records suggest that the Temple of Peace was destroyed in a fire in 191 AD. The fate of the menorah after this event is shrouded in mystery and has been subject to much speculation and legend. Various theories have emerged over the centuries regarding the menorah's ultimate fate. Some suggest it was taken to Byzantium. Others believe it might have been hidden or melted down. A persistent legend even claims that the menorah was hidden away in the depths of the Vatican, a theory that has fueled intrigue and speculation for generations. However, no concrete evidence has ever been found to substantiate these claims, and the menorah's final resting place remains unknown. Despite Despite its physical loss, the menorah has retained a powerful symbolic presence. It has inspired countless artistic renditions and has been incorporated into Jewish ritual and iconography. The menorah continues to be a central symbol of modern Judaism, representing enlightenment, wisdom, and divine inspiration. Its image is promptly featured in the original emblem of the State of Israel, underscoring its enduring significance. The menorah's legacy is a testament to its profound spiritual and cultural impact. It is a symbol of continuity, reflecting the Jewish people's unwavering faith and perseverance through the centuries of exile and hardship. The menorah from the Second Temple, though lost in history, remains an enduring beacon of hope and resilience, a poignant reminder of the glorious past and a symbol of enduring faith and identity. Alaric's treasure is one of the most enduring mysteries from the twilight of the Roman Empire. The story begins in 410 AD, a time of great upheaval in the Western Roman Empire. Alaric I, the king of the Visigoths, had already made his mark on history by sacking Rome, an event that shook the very foundations of the ancient world. The Visigoths, a Germanic tribe that had been both adversaries and foederati, allied mercenaries of Rome, had grown increasingly disillusioned with the empire. Alaric, once a Roman military commander, turned against his former employees after being denied land and recognition for his people. After the sack of Rome, the Visigoths fled southward through Italy. They carried with them a vast amount of plunder, including gold, silver, and priceless artifacts taken from the Eternal City. Alaric's sudden death in the autumn of 410 added a new layer of mystery to the tale. The exact location of his death is unknown, but the historical accounts suggest it was in Calabria, near the modern city of Cosenza. According to legend, Alaric was buried along with his treasure in a secret grave, designed to keep it hidden from the world forever. The method of Alaric's burial is both ingenious and daunting. It is said that the Visigoths diverted the course of the Cento River to create a dry riverbed. Alaric's body, along with his treasure, was interred in a tomb constructed in the riverbed. Once the tomb was sealed, the river was allowed to return to its natural course, effectively burying the king and his hoard under a flowing river. The workers who performed the burial were allegedly killed to ensure the location remained secret, a grim but effective method of protecting the treasure's whereabouts. The dramatic burial story has captivated treasure hunters and historians for centuries. The treasure allegedly includes gold and silver taken from Rome, potentially even sacred artifacts from the Temple of Jerusalem that had been brought to Rome by the Emperor Titus after his conquest of Jerusalem in 70 AD. If true, the value of the treasure is beyond estimation, not just in monetary terms, but in historical and cultural significance. Despite numerous searches over the centuries, no definitive evidence of Alaric's grave or his treasure has ever been found. The area of Cosenza has been a focal point for these searches, given its historical connections to the Visigoths and the local legends that persist to this day. In the late 19th century and throughout the 20th century, several archaeological expeditions were conducted, some of them even diverting rivers and digging extensively in the region. However, these efforts have yielded no trace of the fabled hoard. The story of Alaric's treasure is often intertwined with local folklore and rich tapestry of Italian legends. It serves as a powerful reminder of the transient nature of power and wealth. Alaric, a formidable warrior king who had once brought Rome to its knees, now lies somewhere, possibly with his immense wealth, in an unmarked grave lost to time. His treasure, if it exists, symbolizes the fleeting glory of conquest and the enduring allure of hidden riches. In modern times, Alaric's treasure continues to spark the imagination. It is a popular subject in literature, films, and television shows, often portrayed as the ultimate archaeological prize. The mystery of the location and the dramatic tale of its burial makes it a perfect blend of history and legend, capturing the enduring human fascination with lost treasure and ancient secret. The legend of Alaric's treasure is more than just a tale of hidden gold. It is a narrative that reflects the turbulent times during the fall of the Western Roman Empire. It highlights the desperation and ingenuity of a displaced people, the impermanence of power, and the lengths to which individuals will go to protect what they hold dear. Whether the treasure will ever be found remains an open question, but its legend continues to grow, ensuring that Alaric's name and his mysterious hoard will be remembered for generations to come. Ganj-e Badavard, one of the most fabled treasures in Persian history, is steeped in legend and shrouded in mystery. Said to be one of the 8 treasures of Khosrow II, the last great king of the Sasanian Empire. It embodies the grandeur and opulence of a bygone era. Khosrow II, also known as Khosrow Parviz, reigned from 590 to 628 AD and presided over a period of significant territorial expansion and cultural flourishing. His reign, however, also marked the twilight of the Sasanian dynasty, as it came to an abrupt end during the Islamic conquest of Persia. Ganj-e Badavard, translated as Treasure of Gifts, is believed to be a vast collection of riches, including gold, silver, precious jewels, and priceless artifacts. These treasures were accumulated through various means: tributes from vassal states, spoils of war, and immense wealth generated by the prosperous Sasanian economy. The treasure reportedly included items of immense historical and cultural value, such as exquisite Persian carpets, intricately crafted jewelry, and ceremonial regalia used in royal rituals. The origins of Ganj-e Badavard are closely linked to the legends surrounding Khosrow II. He was known for his lavish court and opulent lifestyle, which were emblematic of his rule. His palace at Ctesiphon, the capital of the Sasanian Empire, was a marvel of architecture and luxury. According to historical accounts, the palace was adorned with gold, silver, and precious stones, and its walls were covered with magnificent frescoes depicting scenes of royal hunts and banquets. The most famous of the treasures within Ganj-e Badavard was the Throne of Solomon, a legendary artifact said to be adorned with precious gems and unparalleled in its splendor. This throne symbolized the divine right of the king to rule and was considered a testament to the glory and power of the Sasanian Empire. Other notable items were the Carpet of Spring, an enormous rug woven with silk, gold, and precious stone, depicting a garden in full bloom. This carpet was a representation of paradise on earth and served as a reminder of the king's divine favor and prosperity of his reign. The fate of Ganj-e Badavard became uncertain following the fall of the Sasanian Empire. In 636 AD, the Sasanian forces were divisively defeated by the Rashidian Caliphate at the Battle of Al-Qadisiyah. This battle marked the beginning of the ends for the Sasanian Empire, leading to the capture of Ctesiphon and the subsequent looting of its treasures. Historical records suggest that the bulk of the Sasanian wealth, including Ganj-e Badavard, was taken by the victorious Arab forces. Despite the fall of Ctesiphon, the legend of Ganj-e Badavard endured. Some accounts suggest that parts of the treasure were hidden by local Sasanian courtiers to prevent them from falling into enemy hands. These treasures were said to be scattered across the former empire, buried in secret locations only known to a select few. Over the centuries, numerous attempts have been made to locate these hidden caches, but none have been successful. The allure of the Ganj-e Badavard lies not only in its material wealth, but also in its symbolic significance. It represents the zenith of the Sasanian culture and the empire's contribution to the world in terms of art, architecture, and governance. The treasures within the Ganj-e Badavard are a testament to the sophistication and refinement of Persian civilization during Khosrow II's reign. During modern times, the legend of the Ganj-e Badavard continues to captivate the imagination of historians, archaeologists, and treasure hunters. The possibility that some of these treasures might still be hidden somewhere in Iran or the surrounding regions fuels ongoing speculation and exploration. The search for Ganj-e Badavard is more than just a quest for riches. It is a journey into the heart of Persian history, seeking to uncover the remains of the glorious past. The legend of Ganj-e Badavard, whether viewed through the lens of history or legend, remains a powerful reminder of the Sasanian Empire's former glory. It underscores the enduring impact of Persian culture and the richness of its historical narrative. As long as the story of Khosrow II and his legendary treasure persists, the quest for the Ganj-e Badavard will continue to inspire and intrigue those who seek to unlock the secrets of one of history's great lost treasures. The Heirloom seal of the realm, also known as the Imperial Seal of China, is one of the most significant artifacts in Chinese history, embodying the authority and continuity of the Chinese emperors. Its history is intertwined with the rise and fall of dynasties, political intrigue, and the profound cultural heritage of China. The seal was created during the reign of the first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang, in 221 BC. Qin Shi Huang is renowned for unifying China, establishing the Qin dynasty, and commissioning the construction of the Great Wall. To symbolize his ultimate authority, he ordered the creation of the Heirloom Seal of the realm. The seal was carved from a piece of precious jade known as the shadowy, which had a storied history of its own, having been offered to and fought over by various rulers before coming into possession of the Qin. The Heirloom Seal was not merely a symbol of imperial power, but also a tool of governance. It was used to authenticate decrees and etiquette, imbuing them with the weight of the emperor's authority. The seal's inscription, written in ancient Chinese script, reads, "Having received the mandate from heaven, may the emperor lead a long and prosperous life." This phrase underscores the traditional Chinese belief that the emperor's right to rule was divinely sanctioned, a concept known as the mandate of heaven. Throughout the centuries, the Heirloom Seal passed through the hands of numerous dynasties. Its possession was considered essential for the legitimacy of ruling an emperor. However, the seal's history is also marked by periods of loss and recovery, reflecting on the turbulent times that saw the rise and fall of various regimes. The first significant loss of the Heirloom Seal occurred during the chaotic period following the fall of the Qin dynasty. It was subsequently recovered and came into possession of the Han dynasty, which ruled from 206 BC to 220 AD. The seal remained with the Han emperors, symbolizing their divine right to rule and the continuity of their authority. After the fall of the Han dynasty, China entered a period of disunity known as the Three Kingdoms period. During this time, the Heirloom Seal became a coveted prize amongst the competing factions. It changed hands several times, often as part of political marriages or military conquests. The seal's whereabouts during this period are somewhat murky, but it is believed to have remained a potent symbol of imperial legitimacy. The seal's fate becomes even more uncertain during the tumultuous centuries that follow. The successive dynasties of the Jin, Southern and Northern, Su and Tang all claim possession of the Heirloom Seal at various points, each using it to legitimize their rule. However, these records from these periods are incomplete, and it is unclear how continuously the seal was in imperial hands. The Heirloom Seal of the realm eventually found its way to the Song dynasty, which ruled from 960 AD to 1279 AD. The Song dynasty is known for its cultural and technological achievements, but it also faced constant threats from northern invaders. During the Jin-Song Wars, the seal was lost once again. The Jin dynasty, which ruled parts of northern China, claimed to have recovered it, but the Mongol invasion of the 13th century led to further disarray. By the time of the Yuan dynasty, founded by the Mongol leader Kublai Khan in 1271, the Heirloom Seal had become a legend. The Mongols, despite their conquest of China, did not seem to have recovered the seal. Its last recorded use was during the Northern Song dynasty, and its fate thereafter remains a mystery. The loss of the Heirloom Seal of the realm symbolizes the end of an era. It was not just a jade artifact, but a profound cultural symbol representing the continuity and divine right of China's emperors. Its disappearance marks the passing of a tangible link to the ancient past, a relic that once legitimized the rule of emperors who shaped the course of Chinese history. Today, the legend of the Heirloom Seal continues to captivate historians and treasure hunters alike. Its story is a poignant reminder of the fragility of human endeavors and the enduring allure of lost treasures. The seal's creation is used by successive dynasties, and its ultimate disappearance escalates the rise and fall of one of the world's most oldest and enduring civilizations. Egill Skallagrímsson, an iconic figure in Icelandic history, is renowned not only for his prowess as a warrior, but also for his exceptional skills as a poet. He lived during the Viking Age, around the 10th century, and his life and deeds are immortalized in the Icelandic sagas, particularly Egill's saga. Among the many tales surrounding Egill, one of the most intriguing is the legend about his hidden silver treasure. Egill was born around 910 AD in Borg, Iceland, to a family of Norse chieftains. His father, Skallagrímsson, was a formidable Viking and settler in Iceland. Egill's life was marked by a series of dramatic events, including family feuds, battles, and voyages. Despite his often violent and turbulent life, Egill was a gifted poet. His poetry, known as Skaldic poetry, is considered some of the finest in Old Norse literature. The legend of Egill's silver centers around the later years of his life. According to the sagas, Egill amassed a significant amount of wealth during his lifetime through various means, including Viking raids, gifts from kings, and successful trade ventures. By the time he reached old age, Egill was a wealthy man. However, his wealth also brought him many enemies and made him a target for those seeking to claim his riches. As Egill grew older, he became increasingly reclusive and distrustful of those around him. Fearing that his wealth would be seized after his death, he decided to hide his silver. The sagas describe how, in his 80s, Egill went on a journey with 2 chests filled with silver. He travelled to a remote and undisclosed location in the Icelandic countryside, where he is said to have buried the chest. Egill took his secret to the grave, never revealing the exact location of the buried treasure. The story of Egill's hidden silver has captured the imagination of many over centuries. Treasure hunters and enthusiasts have speculated about the possible location of the buried chests, but no definitive evidence has ever been found. The search for Egill's silver remains one of Iceland's enduring mysteries, with various theories suggesting different areas near his ancestral home in Borg or other parts of Iceland he was known to frequent. Egill's motivation for hiding his treasure is rooted in the context of his life and the culture of his time. The Viking Age was a period of constant conflict and power struggles. Wealth was not only a measure of a person's success, but also a source of power and influence. By hiding his silver, Egill may have intended to protect it from potential usurpers and ensure that it did not fall into the hands of his enemies. However, the act of burying treasure was not uncommon amongst Vikings, who often concealed their wealth to safeguard it for future generations or anticipation of their own return. The saga of Egill Skallagrímsson and his hidden silver also reflects the themes of loyalty, betrayal, and the transcendent nature of life and wealth. Egill's distrust of those around him, even in his old age, underscores the precariousness of his position and the volatile environment in which he lived. His decision to hide his wealth can be seen as a final act of defiance and control over his own fate. In Icelandic culture, Egill Skallagrímsson is celebrated not only as a historical figure, but also as a cultural icon. His poetry is studied and admired for its emotional depth, complexity, and technical skill. The legend of his hidden silver adds another layer to his enigmatic persona, blending historical fact with myth and legend. It serves as a reminder of the rich and complex history of the Viking Age, a time when individuals like Egill navigated the world of violence, honor, and artistic expression. To this day, the tale of Egill Skallagrímsson's silver continues to intrigue and inspire. It stands as a testament to the enduring legacy of one of Iceland's most fascinating figures, whose life and works have left an undeniable mark on the country's history and cultural heritage. The mystery of the buried treasure remains unsolved, a tantalizing clue to the past waiting to be discovered by future generations. Kusanagi, also known as Kusanagi no Tsurugi, is one of the most legendary and revered artifacts in Japanese mythology and history. As one of the 3 sacred treasures of Japan, Kusanagi symbolizes the legitimacy and divine authority of the Japanese emperor. The story of the Kusanagi is steeped in ancient mythology, blending history with legend, and its fate remains one of the most intriguing mysteries in Japanese cultural heritage. The origins of the Kusanagi are rooted in ancient Japanese texts like Kojikai, Records of Ancient Matters, and Nihon Shokai, Japanese Chronicles of Japan. According to these texts, the sword was originally known as Ami no Murakumo no Tsurugi, Sword of the Gathering Clouds of Heaven. It was discovered by the storm god Susanoo after he slew the monstrous serpent Ta no Orochi. The serpent had 8 heads and 8 tails, and inside one of its tails, Susanoo found the magnificent sword. He presented the sword to his sister, the sun goddess Amaterasu, as a gesture of reconciliation. Amaterasu soon bestowed the sword upon her grandson, Ningai no Mikoto, when she sent him to Earth to rule over Japan. This act linked the sword directly to the divine right of the Japanese imperial family. Over time, the sword became part of the imperial regalia, which also includes the mirror Yata no Kagami and the jewel Yasakani no Magatama. Together, these three items represent the imperial throne's legitimacy and are integral to the enthronement ceremonies of the Japanese emperor. The Kusanagi, meaning grass-cutting sword, emerged from a later legend involving the legendary prince Yamato Takori. According to the tale, Yamato Takori was given the sword by his aunt, Yamato Haimi, the high priestess of the Issei Shrine. During one of his military campaigns, Yamato Takori was lured into a grassy plain by his enemy, who then set the grass on fire in an attempt to kill him. Using the sword, Yamato Takori cut down the burning grass and created a fire break, saving his life. In gratitude, he renamed the sword Kusanagi. By its mythical origins, Kusanagi has been historically significant in Japanese culture. The sword was traditionally kept at Asuta Shrine in Nagoya, one of Japan's most important Shinto shrines. It is said that the sword was moved there during the reign of Emperor Sujin between 97 and 30 BC, and it remained there for centuries, enshrined and revered. The most mysterious episode in the history of the Kusanagi occurred during the Great Genpei Wars, which happened between 1180 and 1185, a conflict between Taira and Minamoto clans. In 1185, during the Battle of Dan-no-ura, Taira clan, facing imminent defeat, attempted to escape with Emperor Antoku and the imperial regalia, including Kusanagi. According to the legend, Taira warriors, along with the young emperor and the treasure, leaped into the sea to avoid capture. Emperor Antoku drowned, and while the mirror and the jewel were recovered, Kusanagi was lost to the depths. The Japanese imperial family claims that the sword was later recovered, but no verifiable evidence has ever been presented. The current whereabouts of the Kusanagi are shrouded in secrecy, as the imperial regalia is not shown to the public, and its existence relies heavily on tradition and belief. The secrecy surrounding Kusanagi and other sacred treasures is deeply embedded in Japanese culture, adding to the aura and mystery and reverence. The significance of the Kusanagi extends beyond its mythical origins and historical narratives. It embodies the spiritual and cultural heritage of Japan, symbolizing the unbroken lineage of the imperial family and the divine connection to the gods. The sword's legendary powers and its role in key mythological events underscores the importance in the Shinto religion and Japanese folklore. The legend of Kusanagi continues to captivate the imagination of both people in Japan and around the world. It represents a fascinating blend of history, mythology, and cultural identity. Despite its elusive nature, the story of Kusanagi endures a testament to the rich tapestry of Japanese tradition and the enduring allure of ancient relics that bridge the gap between mortal and the divine. The original crown jewels of England, also known as King John's crown jewel, represent a fascinating and tragic chapter in the history of English royalty. These treasures were part of the regalia used by monarchs for centuries until their mysterious loss in 1216. The story of the original crown jewels intertwines with the tumultuous reign of King John and the political upheavals of the time, leaving a legacy of an intrigue and speculation. King John, often remembered as one of England's most controversial and unpopular monarchs, ascended to the throne in 1199 following the death of his brother Richard the Lionheart. His reign was marked by a series of failures and conflicts, including the disputes with the English barons and loss of French territories, and his excommunication by the Pope. These challenges culminated in the signing of the Magna Carta in 1215, a document that sought to limit the king's powers and address the grievances of his subjects. In the midst of these troubles, King John faced rebellion by the English barons, who were dissatisfied by his rule. This rebellion led to the First Barons' War, a civil conflict that further weakened King John's position. In October 1216, as the war raged on, King John was travelling in East Anglia, a region plagued by marshlands and treacherous terrain. His journey took him along the old Roman road known as Foss Way, which passed through the estuary known as the Wash, a large flat expanse of tidal mudflats and salt marshes in eastern England. It was during this perilous journey that disaster struck. According to the chronicles of the time, King John's baggage train, laden with the crown jewels and other valuables, attempted to cross the Wash. Accounts vary, but it is generally believed that the combination of high tides, treacherous quicksand, and the unwieldy nature of the baggage train led to its sinking and the loss of the treasure. The exact location and details of this misadventure remain unclear, but it is widely accepted that the crown jewels were lost in the murky waters of the Wash. The loss of the crown jewels was a significant blow to King John, both symbolically and materially. These treasures included the royal crown, scepters, orbs, swords, and other regalia used in coronation ceremony and royal functions. Their loss represented not only a financial setback, but also a profound symbolic defeat, further undermining John's already precarious position. King John died shortly thereafter, on October the 18th, 1216, possibly from dysentery, though some accounts suggest he may have been poisoned. His death marked the end of a troubled reign and the beginning of a new era under his young son, Henry III. The original crown jewels were never recovered, and their fate remains one of England's enduring mystery. The significance of the original crown jewels extends beyond their material value. They were symbols of the monarchy's divine right to rule the community of royal authority. Their loss during such a tumultuous period in English history only added to the aura of mystery and tragedy surrounding King John's reign. In the centuries that followed, the English monarchy replaced the lost regalia with new items. The current crown jewels housed in the Tower of London include pieces that date back to the restoration of Charles II in 1660. The original regalia was destroyed by Oliver Cromwell's parliamentarians during the English Civil War. These treasures continue to serve as symbols of the British monarchy, used in coronations, state openings of parliaments, and other ceremonial occasions. The story of the original crown jewel of England is a captivating tale of loss, legend, and royal intrigue. It reflects the turbulent times of King John's reign and the broader struggles for power and legitimacy that have shaped English history. While the treasures themselves remain lost in history, their legacy endures in the rich tapestry of England's royal heritage, a testament to the enduring allure of mystery and the enduring symbol of monarchy. Llywelyn's coronet, a symbol of Welsh independence and royal heritage, holds a significant place in the history of Wales, associated with Llywelyn ap Gruffudd, the last sovereign prince of Wales. The coronet represents a poignant reminder of Wales's struggle for autonomy against English domination. The fate of Llywelyn's coronet is intertwined with the broader narratives of Welsh resistance, conquest, and the eventual assimilation into the English crown. Llywelyn ap Gruffudd, also known as Llywelyn the Last, ruled as Prince of Wales from 1258 until his death in 1282. His reign was marked by efforts to consolidate the Welsh territory and assert independence from England. Despite numerous conflicts and negotiations, Llywelyn sought to maintain Welsh autonomy in the face of increasing pressure from the English crown, particularly from King Edward I. In 1277, following a series of military campaigns, Llywelyn was forced to submit to Edward I and sign a treaty of Aberconwy. This treaty significantly limited his power and reduced his territorial control. However, the tensions between Wales and England persisted, leading to further conflicts. In 1282, Llywelyn launched a final uprising against English rule, which ultimately led to his death in battle near Bullif Wells on December 11, 1282. The coronet of Llywelyn ap Gruffudd was not just a symbol of his rule, but also of Welsh sovereignty. After Llywelyn's death, the coronet, along with other royal artifacts, was seized by English forces. Edward I, determined to stamp out Welsh resistance, took these symbols of Welsh Welsh royalty to London. The coronet was placed in the treasury of Westminster Abbey alongside the English crown jewels as a tangible sign of the subjugation of Wales. In 1303, during the reign of Edward I's son, Edward II, Westminster Abbey was subjected to a significant robbery. A group of robbers, including some of the abbey's own monks, managed to steal a considerable amount of treasure from the abbey's treasury. Along the stolen items were the coronet of Llywelyn ap Gruffudd and other royal artifacts. Although some of the treasures were eventually recovered, the coronet of Llywelyn was never found. The loss of Llywelyn's coronet remains shrouded in mystery and speculation. Its disappearance symbolises the loss of Welsh royal heritage and the assimilation of Wales into the English crown. Despite its loss, the coronet's legacy endures in Welsh culture and history as a symbol of resistance and the enduring spirit of Welsh independence. The story of Llywelyn's coronet is more than just a tale of the missing artifact. It is a reflection of the broader historical context into medieval Wales. The coronet represents the aspirations of a people for self-determination and the struggles to preserve their cultural identity in the face of external conquest. Llywelyn ap Gruffudd's efforts to maintain Welsh independence, although ultimately unsuccessful, left an undeniable mark on the history of Wales. Today, the legacy of Llywelyn and his coronet continues to resonate in Wales. The coronet, though lost, is remembered as a symbol of Welsh pride and resilience. It serves as a reminder of a time when Wales fought valiantly to maintain its sovereignty and cultural heritage. The story of Llywelyn's coronet is a poignant chapter in the history of Wales, encapsulating the enduring struggle for autonomy and the preservation of a distinct national identity. The tale of La Noche Triste, or The Night of Sorrows, is one of the most dramatic and tragic episodes in the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire. It occurred on the night of June the 30th to July the 1st, 1520, and was marked by the desperate escape of Spanish conquistadors from the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan. This event is inextricably linked to the legendary lost treasure that the Spanish attempted to carry with them, only to lose it in the chaotic retreat. The story begins with Hernán Cortés, a Spanish conquistador who led an expedition that caused the fall of the Aztec Empire. After initially forging an uneasy alliance with the Aztecs, Cortés and his men found themselves in a precarious situation. Tensions had been building for months, exuberated by the capture of the Aztec Emperor Moctezuma II, who was taken hostage by the Spanish to ensure their safety and compliance. Despite these measures, the Spanish presence in Tenochtitlan became increasingly untenable. The Aztecs, under the leadership of Cuitlahua, Moctezuma's brother, grew more hostile. Their resentment culminated in a fierce uprising against the Spanish occupiers. Moctezuma, coerced into addressing his people in an attempt to quell the rebellion, was struck by stones and mortally wounded. His death further inflamed the situation, making the Spanish position in the city increasingly dangerous. Recognizing the dire circumstances, Cortés decided to flee the city under the cover of darkness. He planned the escape meticulously, intending to slip away during the night when the Aztec warriors would be less vigilant. On that fateful night, the Spanish, along with their Tlaxcalan allies, attempted to make their way out of Tenochtitlan across the causeways that connected the island city to the mainland. The Spanish carried with them vast amounts of treasure, including gold, silver, and precious stones. This wealth, accumulated through the plunder and as tribute from the Aztecs, was a significant burden. Despite Cortés's orders to leave the heavy treasures behind to facilitate a swift escape, many of his men, driven by greed, refused to comply. They loaded themselves with as much loot as they could carry, slowing their progress and making them vulnerable. As the Spanish and their allies made their way across the causeways, they were discovered by Aztec warriors. A fierce battle ensued, with the Aztecs launching relentless attacks from canoes and the causeway itself. The weight of the treasure and the narrow, exposed causeways made the Spanish retreat chaotic and deadly. Many Spaniards, weighed down by their plunder, fell into the waters of Lake Texcoco and drowned. Many were killed by Aztec warriors in a brutal melee. The retreat turned into a rout, with many Spaniards and their Tlaxcalan allies perishing in the escape. The causeways were littered with bodies and abandoned treasure. The once organized retreat retreat had devolved into a desperate struggle for survival. By the time the survivors reached the mainland, the Spanish had suffered significant casualties, and much of the treasure they sought to protect was lost to the lake. This night came to be known as La Noche Triste, or the Night of Sorrows, due to the heavy losses suffered by the Spanish. Cortez himself reportedly wept under a tree, lamenting the disastrous turn of events and the loss of so many men, so much wealth. Despite this setback, Cortez would eventually regroup, forming new alliances and returning to lay siege on Tenochtitlan, ultimately leading to the fall of the Aztec Empire in 1521. The lost treasure of La Noche Triste remains one of the great mysteries of the Spanish conquest. The gold, silver and jewels that sank into the waters of Lake Texcoco have never been fully recovered. Over the centuries, many treasure hunters and archaeologists have searched for the remains of this lost wealth, but it remains elusive, buried beneath layers of sediment and the passage of time. La Noche Triste stands as a poignant reminder of the cost of conquest and the fleeting nature of wealth. It encapsulates the tragic clash of civilizations and the human greed that often accompanies such encounters. The legend of the lost treasure endures, symbolizing the high stakes and profound consequences of the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire. The story of the lost Inca gold is one of the most compelling and enduring legends in the history of the Spanish conquest of the Americas. It revolves around the immense wealth of the Inca Empire and the dramatic events that unfolded following the arrival of the Spanish conquistadors, led by Francisco Pizarro. Central to this tale is the figure of Atahualpa, the last emperor of the Incas, whose capture and subsequent ransom demand set the stage for one of history's most tantalizing treasure mysteries. In the early 16th century, the Inca Empire was the largest and most sophisticated civilization in pre-Columbian America, stretching from modern-day Colombia to Chile. The Incas had amassed vast quantities of gold and silver, which were used not only for decorative and ceremonial purposes, but also as offerings to their god. This wealth, however, would soon attract the attention of European invaders. In 1532, Francisco Pizarro and his small band of conquistadors arrived in Inca territory. Despite being vastly outnumbered, the Spaniards managed to capture Atahualpa, and during the Battle of Cajamarca, realizing the value the Spaniards placed on gold, Atahualpa offered to fill a large room with gold and another with silver in exchange for his release. Pizarro agreed, and over the next several months, the Incas gathered an enormous amount of treasure from across the empire, including exquisite artifacts and religious items. The room was filled with gold up to the height of about 8 feet, while the adjoining room was filled twice over with silver. The treasure included intricately crafted statues, jewelry, and other items of immense cultural and monetary value. The ransom is estimated to be amounted at about 24 tons of gold and silver. Despite fulfilling the ransom demand, Atahualpa was not released. The Spanish, fearing a potential rebellion and seeing Atahualpa as a threat to their control over the region, ultimately executed him. This betrayal marked the beginning of the end for the Inca Empire, as the Spanish continued their campaign to conquer and subjugate the Inca people. The fate of the ransom treasure is subject to much speculation and intrigue. While a significant portion of gold and silver was melted down and shipped to Spain, enriching the Spanish crown and contributing to the wealth of the conquistador, a considerable amount of treasure is believed to have been hidden or lost during the chaotic events that followed Atahualpa's execution. According to various legends, the Inca nobles, upon realizing the betrayal of the Spanish, decided to hide or relocate the remaining treasure to prevent it falling into enemy hands. Some accounts suggest that vast quantities of gold were secreted away in remote and inaccessible locations in the Andes Mountains, deep within caves or submerged in lakes. One particularly enduring legend is that of the lost Inca gold, which claims that the treasure was transported to a secret location known only by the few surviving Inca loyalists. Over the centuries, numerous expeditions have been launched in search of the lost Inca gold. Adventurers, archaeologists, and treasure hunters have scoured the Andean mountains, valleys, and jungles, driven by tales of hidden riches and the promise of untold wealth. Despite the efforts of many, the exact location of the treasure has remained elusive, fueling ongoing speculation speculation and fascination. The story of the lost Inca gold is not only a tale of greed and betrayal, but also one of cultural loss and the devastating impact of European colonization on indigenous civilizations of the Americas. The Inca Empire's treasures were not merely valuable in monetary terms, they held deep religious and cultural significance. The loss of these artifacts represents a profound cultural tragedy, as priceless pieces of Inca heritage were either destroyed or disappeared. Today, the legend of the lost Inca gold continues to captivate the imagination. It serves as a symbol of rich history and heritage of the Inca civilization, as well as a reminder of the enduring mysteries that still lie hidden in the remote regions of South America. While the physical treasure may remain lost, the story itself is a valuable part of our collective history, shedding light on the complexities and consequences of the Spanish conquest of the New World. The Great Bell of Dhammazedi is one of the most famous lost treasures in the history of Southwest Asia, imbued with both cultural significance and legendary mystery. Cast in 1484 by order of King Dhammazedi of Mon Kingdom of Hanfawadi in what is now modern-day Menorah, this bell is believed to be the largest bell ever made during its time, a symbol of the king's piety and dedication to Buddhism. King Dhammazedi, originally a monk before ascending to the throne, was a ruler noted for his scholarly pursuits and devout religious faith. Under his reign, the kingdom experienced a period of peace and prosperity, and Buddhism flourished. In a grand gesture of devotion, Dhammazedi decided to donate a massive bell to the Srudagon Padoga in Yangon, the most sacred Buddhist site in Menorah. The bell was cast from an alloy of gold, silver and copper, and it is said that the precious metals, including gold and silver, donated by the people were added to the bronze to create the bell, totaling around 300 tons in weight. The Dhammazedi bell was suspended within the Srudagon Padoga complex, where it was used in various religious ceremonies, resonating with deep, sonorous tones that echoed the Buddhist chants and prayers. The bell's fate took a dramatic turn in 1608 when the Portuguese adventurer and mercenary Felipe de Brinto and Nicote, who had declared himself the ruler of Syriam, present-day Fanlin near Yangon, decided to take the bell from Padoga. His intention was to melt it down and make cannons for defense for his fort at Syriam. The removal of such a sacred object was met with outrage and despair by the local population, but de Brito proceeded with his plan, regardless of the sacrilegious implications. The bell was removed and transported towards Bago River to be taken by raft to Syria. However, the raft reportedly sank at the confluence of the Bago and Yangon rivers under the immense weight of the bell. According to local legend, the bell was cursed by the monks to protect it from being melted down, and its sinking was seen as a divine act to preserve its sanctity. Since its disappearance beneath the waters, the Great Bell of Dhammazedi has become the stuff of legend, akin to the Holy Grail for underwater archaeologists and treasure hunters. Numerous attempts have been made to locate and raise the bell, driven by both the potential historical significance and the rumoured value of its material. These expeditions, however, have been met with little success, hindered by the slit and shifting channels of the river, which have likely buried the bell deep beneath layers of mud. The search for the Great Bell of Dhammazedi is not just about recovering a valuable artifact, it is also about reclaiming a significant piece of Myanmar's history, cultural heritage. The bell symbolises a time when devotion and respect for religious traditions shaped the actions of monarchs and guided the lives of the people. Its recovery would not only be a historical triumph, but also a spiritual restoration, as the bell holds deep religious significance for the Buddhist community in Myanmar. To this day, the story of the Great Bell of Dhammazedi continues to capture the imagination of the people of Myanmar and around the world. It remains a poignant reminder of Myanmar's rich historical tapestry and the enduring power of faith and tradition in shaping the destinies of nations. The mystery of the bell's location keeps alive the hopes that one day it might be found and returned to its rightful place at Srudagon Padoga, resuming its role as a venerable icon of religious devotion. The Three Brothers is a historically significant and magnificent piece of jewellery that has passed through the hands of numerous European monarchs, bankers and nobles since its creation in 1389. The jewel, named for its 3 large red spinels set on a triangular arrangement around a central diamond, is famed not only for its stunning craftsmanship, but also for its colourful history. The jewel was first crafted for Charles VI of France, and became a celebrated piece in the treasury of the French crown. Its design featured 3 large, deep red spinels, stones that were often mistaken for rubies in the medieval period, surrounded by a cluster of smaller diamonds, which accentuate the central, significantly larger diamond. The brothers in the piece's name refers to the 3 main spinels, which are of similar size and appearance, suggesting a familial bond or their unity in their arrangement. Over the centuries, the 3 brothers passed through various hands, each adding to the legend and prestige of the piece. It was owned by Duke John the Fearless of Burgundy, who acquired it either through purchase or as a royal gift. Following his death, the jewel moved through the possession of different members of the Burgundian court, becoming a symbol of power and wealth. In the early 16th century, the jewel entered the holdings of the infamous German banker Jacob Fugger, known as Jacob the Rich, who at one point was considered one of the wealthiest men in Europe. Mr. Fugger's possession of the jewel signified its immense power and influence, which extended beyond finance to royal and papal courts across Europe. The 3 brothers returned to royal circles when it was purchased by Queen Elizabeth I of England. Under Elizabeth, the jewel adorned the regal attire that became synonymous with her reign, symbolising not only the wealth of the English crown, but also the Queen's personal taste for its opulence. It is reported that Elizabeth wore the jewel during an important diplomatic receptions and royal portraits, embedding it further into the fabric of Tudor monarchy and imagery. The jewel remained with the English crown, but its trail becomes murkier after the execution of Charles I and the subsequent abolition of the monarchy during the English Civil War. It is believed that during this period of turmoil, many crown jewels were sold, lost or destroyed. The 3 brothers was likely sold off by the wife of Charles I, Henrietta Maria, in an effort to raise funds during the family's exile. What became of the 3 brothers after its sale is largely unknown. Its last recorded sighting was around 1645, and since then it has vanished from all records. The disappearance of such a notable artifact has sparked numerous theories and legends, suggesting that it might still exist, unrecognized or possibly altered in a private collection, or perhaps lost to history entirely. The story of the 3 brothers is emblematic of the turbulent history of European monarchy, where the jewels and artifacts were not just symbols of wealth and status, but also tools of diplomacy and even collateral in times of financial necessity. The 3 brothers not only illustrates the flow of valuable artifacts through the hands of various historical figures, but also underscores the cultural and historical significance that such pieces hold, far beyond their intrinsic material value. Today, while the physical jewel may be lost, the stories continue to fascinate historians, jewelers, and treasure hunters around the world, embodying a rich tapestry of European history. Amaro Prago, born Amaro Rodriguez Felipe y Tejera Machado, was one of the most famous and successful privateers of the 18th century, hailing from the Canary Islands. Known for his exploits at sea, Prago was equally renowned for his legends surrounding his hidden treasure, which continues to captivate treasure hunters and historians alike. Born in San Cristobal de la Laguna on Tenerife, Amaro Prago quickly rose to prominence through his activities in the Caribbean and the Atlantic, operating under the letter of Marquis from the Spanish crown. This allowed him legally to attack and loot enemy ships, primarily during the War of the Spanish Succession and beyond. His success at sea brought him considerable wealth, part of which he invested in charitable and religious endeavours on his home island of Tenerife. The legend of Amaro Prago's treasure stems from his dual life as both a respected citizen and a fearless privateer. It is said that over the years, Prago amassed a considerable amount of wealth, which included gold, silver and jewels, and other valuable items collected from his numerous conquests. The exact amount and nature of this treasure have been subject to much speculation, as detailed records of his loot were never made public, and Prago was known to be secretive about his wealth. According to local law, and some historical accounts. Prago never fully disclosed the locations where he hid his treasure. Speculation suggested that much of it was buried or hidden in various locations around the Canary Islands, particularly around Tenerife. Some stories suggest that parts of his treasure were concealed in caves or along rocky coastlines, where others believe it might be hidden within his mansion or on his grounds in La Laguna. One of the most interesting aspects of Amaro Prago's treasure legend involves his relationship with the church. Prago was a devout Catholic and made significant donations to the church, which some speculate may have included part of his treasure. He was particularly close with Sister Maria de Jesus, known as Licea Vita, a nun considered for sainthood, whose body remains incorrupt in the convent of Santa Catalina in La Laguna. This connection to religious figures has led to theories that some of the treasure could be hidden within the religious sites in Tenerife. Amaro Prago died in 1747 and was buried in the church of Santo Domingo in San Cristobal de la Laguna. He left behind a will that details some of his possessions, but made no mention of the vast treasure that legend claims he possessed. This has led many to believe that much of his wealth was indeed hidden and remains undiscovered. In recent years, there have been several expeditions and searches aimed at uncovering the lost treasure of Amaro Prago. These efforts have been fueled by the discovery of old documents, maps, and accounts that are believed to point to the possible locations of the treasure. Yet despite these efforts, no significant findings have been made, and the treasure of Amaro Prago remains one of the most inciting unsolved mysteries of the Canary Islands. The story of Amaro Prago's treasure is a fascinating blend of historical fact and local folklore, capturing the imagination of those who hear it. Whether or not the treasure exists, or will it ever be found, the legend of Amaro Prago continues to enhance the cultural heritage of Tenerife and the mystique of one of the most colourful historical figures. The Loch Arkaig treasure, also known as the Jacobite gold, is a significant piece of Scottish history, intertwined with Jacobite uprisings of the 18th century. This treasure, a large sum of gold coins, was sent from France to aid the Jacobite cause, but mysteriously disappeared, leading to centuries of speculation, treasure hunts and folklore. In 1745, Charles Edward Stuart, known as Bonnie Prince Charlie, landed in Scotland to reclaim the British throne for his father, James Francis Edward Stuart, from the Hanoverian King George II. This marked the beginning of the Jacobite risings of 1745, a significant and ultimately unsuccessful attempt to restore the Stuart line to the British throne. To support this effort, the French King Louis XV, whose own claim to the throne was linked by bloodline to the Stuarts, sent a shipment of gold coins to Scotland. The gold was intended to pay for troops, supplies and general support of the Jacobite army. In April 1746, the treasure was landed at the Loch Arkaig, a remote loch in the Scottish Highlands. The treasure reportedly amounted to about £5,000 at the time, a substantial sum which today would be worth several £1,000,000. The exact fate of the Loch Arkaig treasure remains shrouded in mystery. After the decisive defeat of the Jacobite forces at the Battle of Culloden in April 1746, the movement's leaders were scattered and the organisational structure of the rebellion collapsed. The treasure, hidden somewhere near Loch Arkaig, became a subject of contention amongst the surviving Jacobite leaders. It is believed that the portions of the treasure were distributed to various clan chiefs who had supported the Jacobite cause. However, allegations of misappropriation and theft abounded. One of the most notable figures associated with the treasure was Llywelyn Macpherson of Cluny, also known as Cluny Macpherson, the chief of the clan Macpherson. Cluny was one of Prince Charles Edward Stuart's most trusted supporters and is believed to have been one of the last caretakers of the remaining treasure. After the defeat at Culloden, Cluny went into hiding and lived for 9 years in a specially constructed hiding place known as Cluny's Cage. During this time, he allegedly managed to remain the remaining treasure, although the details of how much he dispersed or kept hidden are unclear. Over the years, numerous attempts have been made to locate the Loch Arkaig treasure. Treasure hunters, historians and enthusiasts have scoured the area of Loch Arkaig, fueled by various rumours, maps and supposed deathbed confessions regarding the treasure's location. Despite these efforts, no confirmed trace of the treasure has ever been found. The story of Loch Arkaig's treasure has become a legendary tale in Scottish folklore. It symbolises lost hopes of the Jacobite court and the enduring mystery of its final support from France. Whether still hidden in the rugged landscapes of the Highlands, spent in the aftermath of the rebellion, or stolen and melted down, the treasure remains a fascinating historical enigma. The legend of Loch Arkaig treasure continues to captivate the people, not only for its historical significance, but also for the romance of the Jacobite rebellion, a poignant chapter in Scottish history that evokes themes of loyalty, betrayal, and the unquenchable desire for freedom and sovereignty. The Sceptre of Dagobert is a remarkable artifact from early medieval France, steeped in the lore of the Merovingian dynasty. Its history is as rich and complex as the turbulent era from which it emerged. Believed to have been crafted in the 7th century, the sceptre was part of the French regalia and was associated with Dagobert I, one of the most powerful Merovingian kings, who reigned from 629 to 639 AD. Dagobert I is remembered for his efforts to consolidate royal power, his patronage for the arts, and his expansion of the Frankish kingdom. He was also a notable benefactor of the church, and his reign marked a significant period in the development of the French monarchy's relationship with religious institutions. The sceptre, named after him, symbolises this strong alliance between the church and the state during the early medieval period. The Sceptre of Dagobert was reportedly made of solid gold and adorned with precious gemstones, making it a masterpiece of Merovingian craftsmanship. Its design likely featured intricate carvings and symbols representing the king's divine right to rule, typical of regalia from this period. As part of the French royal treasures, the sceptre was not only a symbol of temporal authority, but also a sacred object used in the coronation ceremonies of French kings. For centuries, the sceptre was kept at the Basilica of Saint Denis near Paris, which served as a burial place for French monarchs. The basilica was a fitting home for the sceptre, giving its historical association to the Merovingian dynasty and its role as a religious and political landmark. However, the Sceptre of Dagobert, along with many other royal artifacts, disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The most notable loss occurred during the French Revolution, a time when the revolutionary fervor led to a ransacking of royal and religious sites across France. In 1795, the Basilica of Saint Denis was targeted by revolutionaries who looted the treasury and desecrated royal tombs. Many items were stolen, destroyed, or melted down for their precious metal, and the Sceptre of Dagobert was amongst the treasures that went missing. Since its disappearance, the whereabouts of the Sceptre of Dagobert have remained a mystery. No conclusive evidence of its survival has ever been found, leading many to believe that it was destroyed during the upheaval of the revolution. Despite this, the sceptre continues to hold its place in French historical lore, emblematic of the nation's rich and often tumultuous history. The loss of the Sceptre of Dagobert is not merely a tale of its stolen artifact. It represents a broader narrative about the cultural and political shifts that have shaped France. The disappearance of such an emblematic object highlights the vulnerability of cultural heritage, especially during periods of social and political strife. Today, the story of the Sceptre of Dagobert serves as a poignant reminder of the heritage that can be lost in the times of change, and the enduring legacy of France's royal past. For historians, the treasure, and treasure hunters alike, the sceptre remains a symbol of a bygone era, its legend enduring in the annals of French history. Whether it still exists hidden away or was indeed melted down, the Sceptre of Dagobert continues to be a subject of fascination and speculation. The Oak Island Money Pit is one of the most enduring and tantalizing mysteries in the history of treasure hunting. Located on a small wooden island off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada, this site has been the focus of treasure hunters for over 200 years, drawn by legends of hidden pirate treasure, ancient artifacts, and even connections to Shakespearean manuscripts and the Knights Templar. The story of the Oak Island Money Pit begins in 1795, when a teenager named Daniel McGuinness discovered a circular depression in the ground while exploring the island. Intrigued by local pirate legends and the peculiar markings on trees nearby, Mr. McGinnis and friends began excavating the site. As they dug, they discovered a layer of flagstones a few feet below the surface, and then several platforms made of oak logs at regular intervals down a shaft. The further down they dug, the more structured and seemingly booby-trapped the pit appeared, with water flooding in from mysterious channels when they reached about 90 feet. This initial discovery set off a treasure hunt that has lasted over 2 centuries, involving dozens of expeditions and a multitude of companies, each driven by the belief that something of immense value lies buried deep beneath the island. Over the years, searchers have found tantalizing clues: a slab stone with a mysterious inscription, bits of a gold chain, a parchment, and more oak platforms at depths reaching 200 feet. Despite these finds, no substantial treasure has ever been unearthed. The theories about what might be hidden in Oak Island pit are as varied as the search efforts themselves. Some believe that the pit contains pirate treasure hidden from Captain Kidd or Blackbeard, given the island's proximity to their known operating routes. Others speculate that it might hold the lost manuscripts of William Shakespeare, or even the Holy Grail or the Ark Covenant, purportedly hidden by the Knights Templar. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence linked to these theories is the so-called 90-foot stone, a large stone slab found at a depth in the pit bearing an inscribed code. When translated, some claims it reads 40 feet below, £2 million lies buried. This stone and its inscription, however, has since been lost, adding another layer of mystery and skepticism to the legend. The countless excavations and attempts to secure the pit have not only failed to yield a treasure, but also have been marked by tragedy and failure. 6 people have died in accidents during various recovery efforts, and millions of dollars have been sunk into the ground without return. The pit itself has collapsed on multiple occasions, and the site is now a crisscross mess of boreholes, shafts, and flooded tunnels. Today, the Oak Island mystery continues to be explored, fueled by new technologies and a popular television series of The Curse of Oak Island, which chronicles the adventures of modern treasure hunters on the island. Despite numerous setbacks, the allure of the Oak Island money pit remains undiminished, a testament to the enduring appeal of hidden treasure and the human spirit's relentless pursuit of the unknown. Whether the Oak Island money pit contains treasure or is merely an elaborate natural sinkhole misinterpreted by generations of treasure hunters, the legend persists, a captivating enigma of the lost wealth and unquenchable curiosity. The Treasure of Esperanza is an enthralling tale filled with piracy, shipwreck, and hidden treasure that dates back to the early 19th century. It revolves around the Spanish brigantine Esperanza, which met its fate on the remote and uninhabited Palmyra Atoll in the central Pacific Ocean. According to historical accounts and lore, the Esperanza was laden with a vast treasure when it departed from the Viceroyalty of Peru, now modern-day Peru. The treasure was purported to consist of 1.5 million gold pesos and an equivalent value of silver, along with precious artifacts including pre-Columbian art and religious items made of gold and silver. The cargo represented a significant portion of the colonial wealth extracted from South America, intended for transport to Spain. The narrative takes a dramatic turn when the Esperanza, navigating through the Pacific in 1816, was captured by a group of pirates. The pirates, aware of the brigantine's valuable cargo, took control of the vessel. However, lacking navigational skill or encountering a severe storm, accounts vary. The pirates found themselves off course and untimely shipwrecked on Palmyra Atoll. The pirates, now stranded, were said to have buried the treasure on the atoll. The fate of the pirates themselves remains a mystery, with some accounts suggesting they perished on the island or were later rescued only to be lost to history. What remains consistent in all versions of the story is that the treasure was never recovered and is believed to still be hidden somewhere on Palmyra. Over the years, the treasure of Esperanza has ignited the imagination of treasure hunters and adventurers. The remote location of Palmyra Atoll, combined with the logistical challenges and legal restrictions associated with accessing and conducting searches on what is now a US wildlife refuge, has hindered efforts to locate the treasure. The atoll was privately owned for many years before being transferred to Nature Conservancy and later becoming part of the National Monument, which further complicates any potential recovery efforts. Despite these challenges, the tale of Esperanza's treasure continues to attract interest. Various expeditions have been undertaken, some fueled by historical research and others by mere speculation. The modern treasure hunters, equipped with sophisticated technology, continue to be drawn by the allure of the lost treasure, although no credible evidence of its existence has ever been documented. The story of the treasure of the Esperanza encapsulates the quintessential treasure hunt, complete with pirates, a shipwreck, and an elusive treasure still waiting to be found. It speaks to the broader allure of undiscovered riches hidden around the world, which continue to inspire stories, expeditions, and dreams of fortune. Whether fact or embellished legend, the treasure of Esperanza remains one of the greatest unsolved treasure mysteries of the Pacific. The treasure of Lima is one of the most fabled lost treasures in the annals of pirate lore and colonial history, encapsulating a saga of betrayal, greed, and unimaginable riches. This vast treasure originally belonged to the Spanish Viceroyalty of Peru and was amassed during the early 19th century, when Lima was a rich colonial capital flush with wealth from Andean silver and gold mines. This story goes in the aftermath of the South American Wars of Independence, led by figures like Simon Bolívar and José de San Martín. Spanish royalist leaders in Lima found themselves in a precarious position. In 1820, with anti-royalist forces closing in, they decided to secure the city's wealth by sending it away for safekeeping. The treasure included gold, silver, jewels, religious artifacts, and other valuable items worth, by some estimates, today's equivalent of several $billions. The task of transporting this immense wealth was entrusted to British Captain William Thompson, commander of the brig Mary Dear. The plan was to ship the treasure to Mexico, but Captain Thompson had other intentions. Once out at sea, Mr. Thompson and his crew mutinied, killing the Spanish guards on board and altering their course. Instead of heading to Mexico, they sailed to the Cocos Islands, a remote island in the Pacific off the coast of Costa Rica, known among pirates for its numerous caves and lush vegetation, ideal for hiding treasure. According to legend, Mr. Thompson and his crew buried the vast hoard on Cocos Island, but were captured shortly thereafter by a Spanish warship. All but Mr. Thompson and his first mate were executed for piracy. In a bid to save their lives, the two survivors promised to reveal the location of the hidden treasure. The Spanish, eager to recover the lost riches, agreed to their term. However, upon arriving at the Coco Islands, Mr. Thompson and his first mate escaped into the jungle, never to be seen again. The treasure was never recovered. Over the subsequent 2 centuries, the treasure of Lima has inspired countless expeditions, treasure hunters and adventurers, and even a reputable explorers like August Gissler, a German who spent nearly 2 decades in the late 19th and 20th centuries searching for the treasure, have tried and failed to locate the loot. More recently, modern technology and renewed interest have led to some new searches, though none have succeeded in uncovering the treasure. The allure of the treasure of Lima is not just in its monetary value, but also the perfect story it represents. A treasure map marked by X, a pirate's betrayal, and a hidden chest of untold riches on a desert island. Yet, for all the romantic appeal, the treasure has also brought considerable danger. The dense jungles of the Cocos Islands and the challenge of its remote location have made treasure hunting a perilous endeavor. The island itself has since become a Costa Rican national park, further complicating any potential recovery efforts. Protected environmental status means the treasure hunting is not only more difficult, fraught with legal hurdles. Whether the treasure of Lima remains buried in the Cocos Islands, was moved, spent, or was merely a myth from the start continues to be a subject of debate and daydreams. What is certain is that it remains one of the greatest treasure mysteries of the modern world, continuing to captivate the imaginations of people around the globe. The saga of the Confederate gold is a captivating chapter from the American Civil War, filled with tales of lost treasures that continue to elude historians and treasure hunters to this day. As the Confederacy teetered on the brink of collapse in 1865, large quantities of gold and silver that had been amassed to support the war effort began to disappear under mysterious circumstances, sparking legends that have persisted for over a century. During the Civil War, the Confederate States amassed significant funds to finance their armies and government operations. These funds were derived from various sources, including the cotton trade, taxes, and donations from supporters. The Confederacy also obtained gold and silver through more direct means, such as seizing assets from Union territories and melting down precious metals into ingots. As the Union forces gained ground, and it became clear that the Confederacy was likely to fall, the challenge of what to do with these assets grew increasingly urgent. The most infamous story of the lost Confederate treasure involves a series of shipments intended to help sustain the faltering Confederate government. In the chaotic final days of the Confederacy, as Union troops closed in on Richmond, Virginia, Confederate President Jefferson Davis and his government fled the capital with multiple wagon trains. Among these was a treasury wagon carrying gold and silver bullion, minted coins, and jewelry collected from banks and treasures across the South. The fate of this treasure after the fall of Richmond has been subject to much speculation and folklore. According to one account, part of the Confederate treasure was supposed to fund the continuing resistance or facilitate the escape of key Confederate figures to Europe. However, during their retreat, the Confederate caravan was constantly harassed by Union forces and marauders attracted by the prospect of gold. One popular legend suggests that large portions of the treasure were buried or hidden at various points during their flight to avoid capture by advancing Union soldiers. The most famous tale involves a cache of gold that was allegedly buried somewhere in Georgia as Confederate officials attempted to evade capture. The exact location of this gold has never been confirmed and remains a popular subject of speculation and treasure hunts. Another tale involves the mysterious disappearance of the Confederate gold that had been sent from Richmond to banks in Columbus, Georgia, and later supposedly transferred safekeeping in a vault in Savannah. As the story goes, when Union troops occupied Savannah, the gold vanished without trace, leading to rumors that it was either hidden by Confederate sympathizers or stolen by corrupt officials. In addition to these stories, there are numerous other rumors and legends about Confederate gold being hidden in caves, buried on private estates, or sunk in lakes and rivers across the South. Despite extensive searches and occasional claims of discovery, none of these treasures have been conclusively found. The enduring mystery of the Confederate gold has not only sparked the imagination of treasure hunters, but also historians and enthusiasts who see the lost gold as a symbolic remnant of the Confederate cause. For many, the gold represents the last remnants of the defeated government and the lost cause, shrouded in the romanticism and tragedy of the Civil War. Today, the search for the Confederate gold continues to be a topic of interest, featuring in books, documentaries, and television shows. While the true fate of the Confederate treasures may never be known, the legends surrounding them serve as a fascinating footnote to the history of the American Civil War, embodying the desperation, chaos, and hope that defined the Confederacy's final days. Whether the gold still lies hidden or was long ago recovered and melted down, its legend continues to be a tantalizing mystery, offering a tantalizing glimpse into one of the most tumultuous periods of American history. Twin sisters are a pair of historically significant cannons that played a pivotal role in the Texas Revolution, specifically in the Battle of San Jacinto, the decisive engagement that led to Texas securing its independence from Mexico in 1836. Named for their identical construction, the twin sisters are enveloped in legend and symbolize the spirit of the Texan struggle for independence. The story of the twin sisters begins in Cincinnati, Ohio, where local supporters of the Texan cause decided to assist the revolutionaries by providing them with artillery. In late 1835, amidst rising tensions and early conflicts in Texas, the citizens of Cincinnati funded the casting of two 6-pounder cannons. These cannons were shipped down the Mississippi River and across the Gulf of Mexico to reach the Texan rebels in early 1836. Arriving at a crucial moment in the revolution. Once in Texas, the cannons were immediately put to use by the Texan army under the command of General Sam Houston. The presence of these cannons was a significant morale booster for the Texan troops, who were generally outgunned and outnumbered by the Mexican forces led by General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna. The twin sisters were relatively light and maneuverable, making them ideal for mobile, and often ragtag Texas forces. The cannons earned their legendary status at the Battle of San Jacinto on April 21st, 1836. During this short but intense battle, the twin sisters were effectively used to fire grape shot at the Mexican troops, inflicting severe casualties and contributing significantly to the Texan victory. The battle lasted just 18 minutes, but effectively ended the military phase of the Texan Revolution, securing Texas independence and leading to the capture of Santa Anna himself. Following the revolution, the twin sisters continued to hold a place of honor in Texas. They were fired during public celebrations and holidays, serving as a symbol of Texas independence and pride. However, as Texas moved from an independent republic to a state within the United States, the cannons gradually faded from the public view, and their exact whereabouts became less certain. The mystery deepened with the onset of the American Civil War. Texas joined the Confederacy, and it is believed that the twin sisters were used in the war effort against the Union forces. Reports from the time suggest that they may have been seen in action in various battles across the South. However, records of their use are sparse, and their fate after the war is a matter of some conjecture. The prevailing theory is that the twin sisters were captured by Union forces and possibly destroyed or melted down, as was common with captured artillery, to prevent their reuse by Confederate forces. Another theory suggests that they were buried or hidden during the war to prevent their capture and have yet to be rediscovered. Today, the twin sisters are remembered not only for their role in the Texas Revolution, but also symbols of the enduring spirit of independence and resilience that characterized the Texan struggle. Despite their uncertain fate, replicas of the cannons exist and are displayed at various historical sites across Texas, serving as a reminder of the state's tumultuous past and its enduring legacy of fighting for self-determination. The story of the twin sisters, blending historical fact with legend, continues to be a poignant chapter in the larger narrative of Texas history. The legend of Tocahuana's buried treasure involves a vast fortune rumored to have been hidden by the Tocahuana shogunate during the waning days of its rule in Japan. This treasure is said to consist of gold, precious stones, and other valuable artifacts amassed over nearly 270 years of Tocahuana rule, which began with Ieyasu Tocahuana's victory at the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600 and ended with Meiji restoration in 1868. The Tocahuana shogunate, also known as the Edo period, was marked by unprecedented economic growth, strict social order, and isolationist foreign policy, which collectively contributed to a long period of peace and stability. Under the Tocahuana regime, the arts flourished, and the accumulation of wealth, particularly by the ruling class, reached new heights. It was during this time that the shogunate and its various daimyos, feudal lords, would have had the opportunity to amass considerable treasures. The legend particularly focuses on the last days of the shogunate, when the Tocahuana family, realizing the imminent threat of overthrow by forces loyal to the emperor, who sought to restore imperial rule and modernize Japan, allegedly began to hide their vast wealth, fearing that their assets would be seized by incoming governments. Members of the Tocahuana family are said to have buried numerous caches of treasure at secret locations throughout Japan. One popular version of the legend centers around Tocahuana Ieyasu, the founder of the shogunate, who is said to have buried a massive treasure on Mount Akagi, located in present-day Gunma Prefecture. This treasure is purportedly hidden to ensure the financial stability and continued influence of the Tocahuana family, even in the event of their political downfall. Another story involves Tocahuana Yoshimitsu, the last shogun, who allegedly ordered the burial of the treasure around various locations as the power of shogunate waned. These tales often describe intricate maps and cryptic clues left behind to guide select family members to the treasure in the future, though no such maps have ever been verified. Despite numerous expeditions and considerable interest from treasure hunters, both amateur and professional, no significant finds linked to Tocahuana treasure have ever been publicly confirmed. This lack of physical evidence has not deterred interest in the treasure, however, with many still believing that vast riches remain hidden somewhere in Japan, awaiting discovery. In addition to physical treasure, the legend also touches on cultural treasures. The Tocahuana shogunate was known for its patronage of the arts, collecting countless valuable artifacts, scrolls, and works of art. Some believe that part of the buried treasure could include lost cultural artifacts from this period, which hold as much historical significance as any gold or jewels. unfurls. Today, the legend of Tokuwana's buried treasure, a fascinating aspect of Japanese folklore, reflecting the intrigue and mystery surrounding the final days of one of Japan's most significant historical periods. Whether fact or fiction, the stories contribute to the romanticized view of the samurai era that continues to capture the imagination of people both in Japan and around the world. The treasure, real or not, symbolizes the opulence and power of the Tokuwana shogunate, serving as a metaphor for a bygone era shrouded in mystery and grandeur. The legend of the Kruger Millions refers to a hidden treasure of gold and coins believed to have been secreted away by the government of South African Republic, commonly known as the Transvaal Republic, during the Second Boer War, 1899 to 1902. This war, fought between the British Empire and the two Boer states, the South African Republic and the Orange Free State, was marked by bitter guerrilla warfare and the desperate measures taken by both sides. President Paul Kruger, who led the South African Republic during these tumultuous times, is central to the legend as British forces advanced, capturing key Boer cities and severing supply lines. The Boer government was forced to retreat from the Pretoria, their capital, in 1900. It was during this retreat and in the face of impending defeat that the legend of the Kruger Millions began. According to various accounts, as the Boer leaders fled Pretoria, they took with them all the gold from the state's mint and national bank. This gold, freshly minted coin and possible gold bars was transported using a train and later transferred to wagons when the railway lines were cut by the British forces. The total amount of this gold is speculated to have been considerable, potentially amounting to millions of pounds at the time. However, exact figures remain part of the legend's mystique. Theories about the fate of the gold are as varied as they are imaginative. One popular version suggests that the treasure was buried somewhere along the route between Machadodorp, where President Kruger spent his last days in South Africa, and Mozambique's coastline, from where he eventually fled from Europe. Other accounts suggest that parts of the treasure were buried in different locations to safeguard it from being captured by British troops. Despite numerous searches conducted over the decades, no verified finds have been reported. The Kruger Millions remain elusive, fueling both ongoing treasure hunts and skepticism regarding the treasure's very existence. The rough terrain of the region, combined with the lack of precise records or credible maps, complicates these treasure hunting efforts. The enduring fascination with the Kruger Millions speaks to a larger narrative about the Boer War and its legacy in the South African history. This period was marked by significant upheaval and transformation, leading to the eventual establishment of the Union of South Africa in 1910. The story of the Kruger Millions is intertwined with national pride, the memory of resistance against the British imperialism, and the dramatic saga of the Boer struggle for independence. Modern interest in the Kruger Millions has not waned, inspired by occasional reports of possible sightings of the gold or discovery of old gold coins in the region. These tales, whether substantiated or not, keep the legend alive, blending historical fact with folklore. For many, the treasure symbolizes the unresolved mysteries of South Africa's past and the unbreakable spirit of the Boer people during one of their darkest hours. Whether the Kruger Millions will ever be found or whether they truly exist remains one of the greatest unanswered questions in South Africa's history. Crown Jewels of Ireland, also known as the Irish Crown Jewels, refer to a highly valuable and historical significant collection of regalia used to adorn the sovereign and the Knights of the Order of St. Patrick, an order of chivalry established by George III in 1783. These jewels played a central role in the ceremonies of the order and represented a symbol of direct British rule over Ireland. The regalia included several pieces, most notably the star and badge of the order, both encrusted with large numbers of precious stones. The star was composed of Brazilian white diamonds forming a St. Patrick's cross, with rubies in the centre forming a heraldic rose. The badge, a more elaborate piece, included emeralds, rubies and Brazilian diamonds, and was worn pinned to the sovereign's robes during ceremonies. These jewels were kept in a safe library in the Dublin Castle, which was a significant administrative centre for the British government in Ireland. The safe also contained collars belonging to members of the Order of St. Patrick, another significant significant component of the ceremony attire. The librarian of the castle, Sir Arthur Vickers, was responsible for the jewels' safekeepings, although numerous individuals had access to the safe keys, reflecting a surprisingly lax approach to security. The theft of the crown jewels occurred in 1907, just days before the Irish International Exhibition, where they were scheduled to be displayed, causing a huge public uproar and embarrassment for the British authorities. The jewels were last confirmed in the safe on June 11, 1907 by Mr. Vickers himself, but on July the 6th they were discovered missing. Despite a massive investigation, no one was ever prosecuted for the theft, and the jewels were never recovered. The theft itself is shrouded in mystery and controversy, contributing to a long-standing enigma. Various theories have circulated regarding the identity of the theft or the thieves and their motives. Some suggest the involvement of high-ranking officials within the British administration, potentially even connections with Irish nationalist movements, which sought to embarrass the British authorities. Others speculate that the theft may have been an inside job by someone with access to the castle, given the apparent ease within which the thieves accessed the safe. The investigation into the theft was notably mishandled. Sir Arthur Vickers, despite his protests of innocence, was made a scapegoat and dismissed from his post. The investigation was criticised for its focus on Mr. Vickers to the exclusion of other plausible suspects, and it was marred by allegations of incompetence and potential cover-ups, reflecting the tense political climate in Ireland at the time. The disappearance of the crown jewels of Ireland remain one of the most famous jewel thefts in history. It occurred against the backdrop of growing Irish nationalist sentiment, and just a few years before the Irish War of Independence, which would eventually lead to the establishment of the Irish Free State. The theft symbolised not only a significant security breach, but also served as a metaphor for the declining power of the British Empire in Ireland. Today, the whereabouts of the Irish crown jewels remain unknown, and they continue to be the subject of intrigue and speculation. The mystery surrounding their fate is a captivating chapter in the complex tapestry of Irish-British relations during a crucial period of Ireland's history. The loss of such significant symbols of the British monarchy in Ireland added a storied layer to the rich historical narrative of the Emerald Isle. The Tsar's treasure refers to a vast hoard of riches reportedly lost during the chaotic times surrounding the Russian Revolution of 1917. This treasure, consisting of gold, jewels, and other priceless artifacts, was owned by the last Tsar of Russia, Nicholas II, and his family, the Romanovs. Its loss encapsulates the dramatic fall of the Romanov dynasty and the tumultuous establishment of the communist rule in Russia. Nicholas II ascended to the throne in 1894, presiding over a vast empire which was both immensely wealthy and riddled with deep social economic divides. The Romanovs were known for their opulent lifestyles, with palaces filled with priceless art, gold and jewels. Among these treasures were the renowned Fabergé eggs, gifts exchanged by members of the royal family during Easter, each a masterpiece of jeweled art. As World War I and the resulting hardships strained Russia, discontent amongst populace grew, eventually leading to Russian Revolution. In 1917, the Bolsheviks seized power, and the Romanov family was placed under house arrest. The following year, fearing that anti-Bolshevik forces might attempt to reinstate Nicholas II, the Bolsheviks executed the entire family. This brutal act marked the definitive end of the Romanov dynasty. Before and after their execution, there was widespread rumors and reports of significant portions of the Romanov wealth had been secreted away, either by family themselves or by those loyal to them. This rumored treasure included not only personal jewelry, but the contents of the imperial treasury, but also large sums of gold to secure the loyalty of the White Army during the Russian Civil War. The most tantalizing story of the Tsar's treasure involves the RMS Republic, a passenger ship that sank off the coast of Nantucket, Massachusetts in 1909 after a collision in heavy fog. According to popular legend, among its cargo were millions of dollars worth of American gold coins destined for the Russian government as part of a loan to support the Tsar during World War I. The ship was indeed carrying a large cargo of gold, but records and subsequent salvage operations have failed to conclusively prove that this particular shipment was aboard. Despite numerous efforts to locate and recover the Tsar's lost treasure, both from the Republic and from other hiding places rumoured across Russia and Europe, little has been found. The search for these riches continues to this day, fueled by both historical interest and the allure of untold wealth. Various books, documentaries, and explorations have focused on the fate of the Romanov treasures, making them a subject of enduring fascination. The loss of the Tsar's treasure symbolizes the dramatic upheavals of the early 20th century Russia, reflecting on the transition from imperial opulence to revolutionary austerity. The mystery surrounding the treasure serves as a poignant reminder of the fall of one of the world's most storied dynasties and the turbulent times that reshaped Russia forever. Whether any significant portion of the Tsar's treasure will ever be found remains one of the great mysteries of modern treasure hunting. The Romanian treasure refers to a significant cache of national valuables, including gold reserves, priceless artifacts, and cultural treasures that was sent out of Romania during World War I for safekeeping, but were never fully repatriated. This complex and intriguing historical episode underscores Romania's precarious position during the conflict and the broader geopolitical struggles of Eastern Europe during the early 20th century. As World War I unfolded, Romania, after joining the Allies in 1916, found itself in a vulnerable position due to its geographical location and the advancing Central Powers. In an effort to safeguard the nation's treasures against potential occupation and looting, the Romanian government made a fateful decision to transport its gold reserves and other national treasures to Russia, which was then an ally for safekeeping. In late 1916 and early 1917, approximately 93.4 tons of gold bullion and 12 tons of gold coins were transported by train to Moscow. Along with these monetary reserves, numerous other valuable items, including important historical documents, work of arts, and archive materials were also sent away. The choice of Russia as a secure location reflected the alliances and strategic consideration of the time, but would soon be complicated by dramatic shifts in Russia's political landscape. The situation took a drastic turn in 1917 following the Bolshevik Revolution. The new Soviet government under Lenin was hostile to the existing entities and skeptical of bourgeois governments such as Romania's. Initially, the Soviet regime acknowledged the deposits and agreed to safeguard them. However, the chaos in the Russian Civil War and subsequent shifts in Soviet policy led to the treasures being appropriated by the new government. Post-war efforts by Romania to recover the treasures were fraught with diplomatic challenges and were largely unsuccessful. The Soviets returned only a fraction of the deposited gold in the 1930s and retained the rest under various pretexts, citing issues ranging from compensation for Romania's occupation of parts of the Soviet Union during the war to claims of the gold being lost during the internal turmoil in Russia. The unreturned portion of Romanian treasure remains a contentious issue between Romania and Russia, complicated by the lack of comprehensive records and the political changes both countries have undergone since the treasure was first sent to Moscow. Over the decades, numerous Romanian delegations have attempted to negotiate the return of the treasure, and the topic periodically resurfaces in diplomatic discussion. The case of the Romanian treasure is emblematic of the broader vulnerabilities and disruptions experienced by smaller nations caught in the crossfire of larger powers during wartime. It also highlights the difficulties in protecting national heritage and assets during times of conflict, a lesson that resonates with many countries around the world. Today, the Romanian treasure remains a poignant symbol of national loss and the continuing quest for historical and cultural restitution. It embodies the broader narrative of Romania's struggles and resilience through the upheavals of the 20th century, serving as a reminder of the enduring importance of cultural heritage and the complexities of international relations. The Florentine diamond is a lost jewel of legendary proportions and intriguing history, surrounded by mystery and international intrigue. This large Indian origin yellow diamond, weighing approximately 137.27 carats, has a storied past involving multiple European royal families and a disappearance that has puzzled historians and treasure hunters alike. The origins of Florentine diamond traced back to India, where it was supposedly taken as spoils of war and subsequently came into possession of the Duke of Burgundy. The diamond was said to be cursed, as it appeared to bring misfortune to its owners. The stone eventually made its way to the Medici family in Florence in the 16th century, which is how it received its name, the Florentine. Under the Medici's ownership, particularly under Ferdinando I de' Medici, Grand Duke of Tuscany, the diamond was cut into a double rose cut, giving it its distinctive 9-sided form. The cutting was an attempt to enhance its brilliance and colour, characteristics of the gem cutting style of that era. The Florentine diamond became part of the Tuscan crown jewels and was passed down through generations of Medici until the line died out. With the extinction of the Medici dynasty, the diamond passed into the hands of the Habsburgs through marriage alliances. It became part of the Austrian crown jewels, where it remained until the fall of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, World War I. Its last confirmed sighting was in Austria in 1918. After the war, the imperial family took the jewel with them into exile in Switzerland. The diamond's fate became unclear amidst the political and social upheaval following the war. There are numerous theories about what happened to the Florentine diamond after it left Austria. One popular theory is that it was sold by exiled Habsburgs and the proceeds used to support the family in difficult times. Another suggests that the diamond was stolen and recut into smaller, unrecognizable stones to hide its identity. There are also rumors that it may have made its way into the hands of a private collector, lost to the public eye. Despite various reported sightings and claims over the years, no verifiable evidence of the diamond's whereabouts has come to light. The lack of concrete information has only fueled more speculation and mystique surrounding the gem. The disappearance of the Florentine diamond remains one of the greatest mysteries of the gem world. Its story encapsulates the fascinating slice of European history, reflecting the rise and fall of dynasties, the spoils of war, and the curses and superstitions of the old. The search for the Florentine diamond continues to captivate the imaginations of treasure hunters and historians around the world, each hoping to uncover the truth behind the fate of this lost imperial treasure. The Imperial Fabergé eggs, among the most opulent and intriguing artifacts of the late Russian Empire, are not only masterpieces of craftsmanship, but also subjects of enduring historical mystery. Created by Peter Karl Fabergé and his craftsmen for the Russian imperial family from 1885 to 1917, these eggs were annual Easter gifts for the Tsar's wife and mother. Out of the 50 imperial eggs made, 7 remain missing, sparking fascination and speculation amongst collectors, historians, and treasure hunters. The tradition began in 1885 when Alexander I commissioned the first egg as an Easter surprise for his wife, Emperor Maria Feodorovna. This egg, known as the hen egg, featured a simple white enamel shell that opened to reveal a golden yolk, which in turn contained a golden hen and a tiny diamond replica of the imperial crown. Pleased with the gift, the Tsar made it a yearly tradition, each egg containing a surprise, and these grew increasingly elaborate over the years. After Alexander III's death, his son Nicholas II continued the tradition, presenting eggs to both his wives, Alexandria Feodorovna and his mother. The themes of the eggs often had personal significance or reflected the interests and lives of the imperial family, making each unique artifact with its own story. On the onset of the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917 brought an abrupt end to this opulent tradition. The Romanov family was executed in 1918, and amidst the chaos and economic hardship that followed, the Bolsheviks sold many of the eggs to raise funds for the new regime. While many of the eggs were brought by private collectors and are now held in museums of private collections, the whereabouts of 7 of the imperial eggs remain unknown. The missing eggs include the 1886 hen with sapphire pendant egg. This egg followed the design cue of the first 1885 hen egg, contained a sapphire pendant surprise. Its last known location and details remain obscure. The 1888 cherub with chariot egg, obdurmed with the cherub and pearl encrusted chariot. Its last sighting was before the revolution. The 1889 necessary egg. This egg, created from gold and adorned with precious stone, contained a lady's compact set of grooming tools. It was last recorded in 1952 when it was sold in London. The 1902 Empire Nephrite egg. Its provenance is debated, and while there are claims it has been found, The identification remains unconfirmed. The 1903 Royal Danish egg, made to honour the Danish heritage of the Romanovs. Specifics about its fate post 1917 are not available. The 1909 Alexander III commemorative egg. This egg is a tribute to Nicholas II's father. It is one of the most enigmatic, with virtually no records post-revolution. The Moave of 1897. This egg's distinct feature was its Moave enamel, and it's last known to have appeared in an exhibition in London in 1922. The intrigue surrounding these missing eggs has not only stimulated extensive searches and high-profile auctions, but also inspired numerous forgeries. Each time an egg thought to be lost surfaces, it creates a media stir and often frenzied examination to verify its authenticity. The ongoing mystery of the lost imperial Fabergé eggs represents a tangible connection of the opulence and tragedy of the last days of the Russian Empire. For many, these eggs are more than just luxurious artifacts. They are poignant reminders of the Romanovs' doomed reign, with symbols of the dramatic changes that swept through Russia in the early 20th century. As of today, the missing eggs continue to be the holy grail in the art and antique world, representing some of the most elusive treasures waiting to be found. The mystery of the Just Judges revolves around the theft of a panel from one of the most significant works of early Northern Renaissance art, the Ghent altarpiece, also known as the Adoration of the Mystic Lamb, painted by the brothers Hubert and Jack van Eyck. This altarpiece, completed in 1432 and housed in Saint Bavo Cathedral in Ghent, Belgium, is a polytech consisting of multiple panels, each richly detailed, masterfully executed. The stolen panel, known as the Just Judges, is one of the lower panels and features a group of nobly dressed figures on horseback, believed to represent the biblical judges or knights of Christ. The theft occurred on the night of the 10th of April 1934. The thieves left a note in place of the stolen panel, which only added to the mystery and intrigue surrounding the event. The note simply stated that the panel had been taken for safekeeping. This cryptic message led to numerous theories about the motives behind the theft, ranging from a ransom attempt to ideological statements. Soon after the theft, the Bishop of Ghent received a ransom demand for 1 million Belgian francs. However, negotiations between the church authority and the thief or thieves broke down, and only one other panel, St. John of the Baptist, which was stolen at the time, was returned. The ransom for the Just Judges was never paid, and the panel's whereabouts remain unknown to this day. Over the years, the case has seen various developments, including a deathbed confession in 1934 by a stockbroker named Arsène Godrita. During his final moments, Godrita confessed to his lawyer that he knew the location of the panel, but died before he could reveal it. He claimed, "I alone know where the Just Judges is." Necessary instructions are made. Despite extensive searches based on clues he left behind, the panel was never found. The continued absence of the Just Judges has led to extensive speculation and numerous investigations, some official and others by amateur sleuths. Theories about the location have included it being hidden in a wall or buried, yet none of these have led to the recovery of the artwork. The city of Ghent and the church have even received multiple false panels sent by pranksters or attention seekers, but the original remains lost. In place of the original, a reproduction was painted in 1945 by Jeff van der Vecken, an expert in early Netherlandish painting, which is what the visitors to St. Bavo Cathedral see today. Meanwhile, the mystery of the missing panel continues to be a source of fascination and a cold case that occasionally returns to the headlines, especially when new leads or theories emerge. The theft of the Just Judges, not just a loss of a crucial piece of art history, represents a cultural mystery akin to a distinctive story that captures the imagination of the public and art historians alike. The panel's disappearance remains one of the art world's most enduring mystery, emblematic of the allure and vulnerabilities of cultural treasures. Dutch Sulch, born Arthur Flagenheim, was a notorious American gangster during the Prohibition era, known for his bootlegging operations and violent methods. His life was marred by crime and controversy, but one of the most enduring mysteries associated with Mr. Sulch is the legend of his hidden treasure, which is believed to have been buried somewhere in Catskills Mountains of upstate New York. The tale begins in the mid-1930s, when Sulch, facing legal troubles and fearing for his financial future, supposedly decided to stash away a large portion of his wealth. Sulch had amassed considerable riches through various illegal activities, including bootlegging, gambling and extortion. Concerned about potential seizures by the authorities or theft by rivals, Sulch reportedly had a steel safe or strongbox filled with money and valuables, including gold coins, $1,000 bills, diamonds and other precious items. According to the legend, Sulch, along with his bodyguard and trusted associate Lulu Rosencrantz, drove up from New York City to Catskills with the safe. They chose a secluded spot in the dense forests of the regions, where they buried the safe. The exact location was only known to Schultz and Rosencrantz. Intended to be a safeguard against legal and personal threats Sulch was facing at the time. However, the plan to retrieve the treasure, if needed, was thwarted by sudden developments. In October 1935, Dutch Sulch was fatally shot at the Palace Chop House in Newark, New Jersey, by assassins sent by rival mobsters, possibly with the sanction of the Commission, the governing body of the American Mafia. Rosencrantz was also killed around the same time. With both men dead, the knowledge of the exact location of the treasure died with them. Over the decades, the story of Dutch Schultz's hidden treasure has captivated treasure hunters, historians and enthusiasts. Multiple expeditions have been launched to find the treasure, with hopefuls combing through various parts of the Catskills Mountains, especially around the town of Foencia, where some believe the treasure might be buried. These searches have been fueled by clues purportedly left by Sulch, vague references in historical documents, and the analysis of Schultz's known movements during his final days. Despite these efforts, the treasure remains undiscovered and skepticism about existence persists. Some historians question the veracity of the tale, suggesting it might be more a myth than reality. Others believe that even if Sulch did bury some valuables, they might have been discovered and quietly recovered without the public knowledge. The legend of Dutch Sulch's treasure is a quintessential example of the mix of fact and folklore that often surrounds historical figures with criminal past. It reflects the intrigue of hidden wealth and the allure of unsolved mystery. Whether or not the treasure is ever found, the story adds a layer of mystique to the already colourful life of one of America's most infamous gangsters, keeping the legacy of Dutch Schultz alive in popular culture and the imagination of treasure seekers. The royal casket, also known as the Sejm casket, is a poignant symbol of Poland's rich historical tapestry and the tragic losses during the periods of conflicts and occupation. The casket itself was a relatively small, ornate box made of oak and covered in red Moroccan leather, but it held a vast historical significance due to its contents. 73 precious relics associated with Polish royalty. These relics included miniatures, jewels, medals, and decorations that had once belonged to Polish kings and queens. Among these were personal items such as watches, portraits, and snuff boxes, each rich with historical connections to key figures in Polish history. Many of these items were made of gold and encrusted with jewels, embodying not only the wealth of the Polish monarchy, but also the cultural and artistic achievements of Poland through the centuries. The royal casket was created in the late 18th century, a period marked by disintegration, Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth under the pressures of neighbouring powers. The casket was initially housed at the royal castle in Warsaw, serving as a repository of national heritage and a poignant reminder of the sovereign identity of the Polish nation. However, the casket's journey took a dramatic turn during the German invasion of Poland in September 1939. At the outset of World War II, as the Wehrmacht advanced, many Polish treasures were hurriedly hidden or moved in attempts to safeguard them from looting. The royal casket was moved from the royal castle to the town of Wieniawa in southern eastern Poland, where it was hidden. Unfortunately, the hiding place was compromised. In October 1939, the casket was located by German forces, an act that symbolized the broader disgregation and plunder of Polish cultural heritage during the occupation. The contents of the royal casket were scattered, and many pieces were taken to Germany as part of the extensive looting of art and cultural artifacts by the Nazis. Following Following the war, despite expensive efforts to repatriate looted Polish cultural property, the items from the royal casket were never recovered. The loss of the casket is considered one of the most significant of Poland's wartime cultural casualties. Its contents, which once celebrated the glory and history of the Polish monarchy, are now remembered for their tragic scattering and the cultural void their loss represents. The royal casket serves as a somber reminder of the vulnerabilities of cultural heritage in times of war and conflict. Its story resonates deeply in Polish memory, symbolizing not only the losses endured during the Second World War, but also the resilience of the Polish culture and the ongoing efforts to reclaim and commemorate the nation's rich historical legacy. The quest to locate and repatriate these lost treasures continue, driven by hope that some pieces of the royal casket might someday resurface and be returned to their rightful place in Polish history. The Sword of Islam is an artifact steeped in both historical significance and wartime symbolism, associated with one of the most controversial figures of the 20th century, Benito Mussolini. Presented to Mussolini in 1937, this ceremonial sword was a gift from the Arab leaders of Italian Libya, acknowledging his self-appointed title as the protector of Islam. The presentation of the sword was a highly orchestrated event meant to bolster Mussolini's image, both in Italy and in the colony, where he sought to portray himself as a benevolent and respected leader. The sword was intricately designed as a symbol of craftsmanship and diplomatic homage. It was intended to strengthen the ties between Mussolini's fascist regime and the Muslim populations under Italian colonial rule, particularly in North Africa. Mussolini's reception of the sword was widely publicized in the fascist propaganda, which portrayed him as a respected figure not only in Europe but also in the Muslim, was serving an ideological as well as political purpose. However, the history of the Sword of Islam took a dramatic turn as World War II progressed. By 1943, Mussolini's fortunes had drastically declined. Italy faced numerous military defeats, and Mussolini himself was deposed and arrested, although he was later rescued by German forces and installed as head of a puppet regime in northern Italy. His power and influence were significantly diminished. The exact details of what happened to the Sword of Islam during his turbulent period are murky, but it is believed that the sword was lost in the chaos that followed Mussolini's downfall. Some accounts suggest that it might have been destroyed or lost during the Allied bombings, while others propose that it could have been stolen or secretly kept by someone close to the fascist leadership. Despite various rumours and theories about its fate, the Sword of Islam has never been recovered and its whereabouts remains unknown. Like many artifacts associated with controversial historical figures, the sword carries a heavy symbolic weight, representing a period marked by imperialism, war, and the complex interplay of religion and politics. Today, the Sword of Islam serves as a poignant reminder of the manipulative uses of cultural and religious symbols in political strategies, reflecting the broader themes of cultural appropriation and the politicization of religion. The disappearance of the sword adds an element of mystery to its historical narrative, making it a subject of continued interest and speculation amongst historians and enthusiasts alike. As an artifact lost in the annals of a tumultuous period, the Sword of Islam remains a fascinating, if elusive, piece of a historical puzzle surrounding the rise and fall of Mussolini and his regime. Peking Man refers to a group of fossil specimens of Homo erectus discovered in the 1920s and 1930s at Zhaokodian near Beijing, China. These fossils are significant in the study of human evolution, representing one of the earliest known humans to use fire and basic tools, dating back approximately 500 to 780,000 years ago. The discovery of Peking Man was a pivotal moment in paleontology. It provided the first clear evidence that early humans inhabited Asia, which helped to expand the understanding of human evolution beyond Europe and Africa. The site of Zhaokodian became a treasure trove of scientific data, yielding not only multiple hominid fossils but also tools, evidence of controlled use of fire, and animal bones with cut marks from from the butchery. The fossils themselves were unearthed over several years by an international team of researchers. This work was led initially by Swedish geologist Johan Gunnar Andersson and later by Canadian anatomist Davison Black, who received significant funding from the Rockefeller Foundation to continue the excavations. Their efforts culminated in the identification and naming of a new type of early human, which Black called Sinomphorus pekinensis, now classified as Homo erectus pekinensis. However, the story of the Peking Man took a dramatic and troubling turn during World War II. In 1941, as Japanese troops approached Beijing, the decision was made to send the fossil skulls and other remains to the United States for safekeeping. They were packed into 2 crates and handed over to the US Marines to be shipped out of China. Tragically, the fossils vanished in the chaos of war, likely during their transport to the port city of Qinghangdao. Despite extensive searches and investigations after the war, the original Peking Man fossils have never been recovered. The loss of the original Peking Man fossils remains one of the greatest losses to science from World War II. Theories about their fate abound, including speculations that they might still lie buried somewhere on the ocean floor if the ship carrying them was sunk. Others believe that they may have been buried or hidden on land, either intentionally or accidentally. While casts of the original fossils still exist and are used for scientific research, the loss of the original specimens is irreplaceable. These casts and the continued excavations at Zalcodium, which still yield significant paleontological data, help ensure that the legacy of Peking Man continues to contribute to our understanding of human evolution. The mystery of the lost Peking Man continues to intrigue both the scientific community and the public. It serves as a poignant reminder of the vulnerabilities of cultural scientific treasures during the times of war. The ongoing interest into their whereabouts underscores the universal importance of our shared human heritage and the continued quest to understand the ancient past. The Amber Room, often referred to as the 8th wonder of the world, was a masterpiece of Baroque art and one of the most lavish and unique chambers ever constructed. Its history spans several centuries, involving craftsmanship, diplomacy, theft, and the devastating impacts of war, leading to its current status, one of the greatest lost treasures in history. The origins of the Amber Room date back to the early 18th century, specifically to 1701, when construction began. It was initially conceived as part of the new royal palace in Prussia, which was designed by German sculptor Andreas Sculpture and Danish amber craftsman Gottfried Wolfram. The room's panels were made from several tons of amber, meticulously carved and ornamented with gold leaf and precious stones, covering approximately 55 square meters and glowing with a warm golden hue. In 1716, Prussian King Frederick William I gifted the Amber Room to Peter the Great of Russia as a symbol of Prussian-Russian alliances against Sweden. The room was shipped in pieces to Russia, where it was eventually installed in the Catherine Palace of Tsarskoye Selo, just south of St. Petersburg. Over the next several decades, the room was expanded and elaborated upon, with additional amber ships from the Baltic coast to complete its decoration. By the time of its completion, the Amber Room contained over 6 tons of amber, fashioned into panels depicting figures, flowers, and motifs that dazzle visitors with their intricate details and the play of light on their surfaces. It was used as a private meditation chamber for the Tsars, and later as a gathering room for the Imperial Russian court. However, the fate of the Amber Room took a dark turn during World War II. In 1941, during the German invasion of the Soviet Union, the room was looted by Nazi forces. The Amber Room was disassembled and transported to Königsberg, now Kaliningrad, Russia, where it was reinstalled in the Königsberg Castle Museum. The room was last seen intact in 1945. In the chaos at the end of the war, with the bombing of Königsberg and the subsequent capture of the city by the Red Army, the Amber Room disappeared. Despite extensive investigations and numerous theories about its fate, the whereabouts of the Amber Room remains a mystery. Some believe it was destroyed, during the bombing raids that decimated Königsberg in 1944 and 1945. Others speculate that it was further hidden away by the Nazis in the final days of the war, perhaps sunk in a nearby lake or buried in a bunker that has yet to be discovered. Over the years, various reports and supposed sightings have fueled ongoing searches and explorations, but none have led to the recovery of the room. In 1979, the Soviet began a reconstruction of the Amber Room at the Catherine Palace. After decades of meticulous work, relying on photograph memories of those who had seen the original and traditional craftsmanship, a reconstructed Amber Room was unveiled in 2003. This room stands as both a tribute to the original masterpiece and a testament to the loss endured by the cultural heritage due to the ravages of war. The story of the Amber Room encompasses the heights of artistic achievement and depths of wartime plunder. It serves as a powerful reminder of the cultural losses that can occur in times of conflict and the enduring hope that lost beauty might one day be recovered, or if forever lost, at least remembered and honoured through its restoration. Yamashita's gold, often referred to as the lost treasure of General Tomoyuki Yamashita, is a reputed cache of war loot amassed during World War II by the Japanese Imperial Army. According to various accounts, this treasure includes vast amounts of gold jewels and priceless artifacts taken from conquered territories in Southeast Asia. The legend of Yamashita's gold has inspired countless treasure hunters, spurred numerous legal battles, and fueled a wealth of conspiracy theories, but it remains elusive, shrouded in mystery and skepticism. The story begins with the Japanese invasion of the Southeast Asia during World War II. As the Japanese forces swept through countries like the Philippines, Malaysia, and Thailand, they reportedly looted cultural treasures and riches. General Tomoyuki Yasamicha, a prominent and successful military leader who was later dubbed the Tiger of Malaya for his triumphs in the Malayan campaign, is often named in connection with this treasure. However, it is not clear how directly Yamashita was involved with the collection or handling of these assets. According to popular lore, in the closing months of the war, with the Japanese military retreating and the Allied forces advancing, the decision was made to hide the plundered wealth to prevent its capture. The Philippines is the most often mentioned as the hiding place of this treasure, supposedly because of its strategic location and the complex terrain which provided ample opportunities for concealment. The most tantalizing part of Yamashita's gold story involved the intricate network of tunnels and underground caves throughout the Philippine archipelago, where the treasure is said to be hidden. Some accounts suggest that the treasure was buried in over 100 different sites to be recovered post-war for efforts to revive Japan. After the war, General Yamashita was captured and tried by the United States military in a controversial war crimes trial. He was executed in 1946, but he never disclosed any information about the hidden treasure, nor was he directly charged with crimes related to looting. The absence of concrete evidence or documented links to the treasure did not deter belief in its existence, which has been kept alive by numerous anecdotes and testimonies over the decades. The allure of Yamashita's gold reached a peak in the 1970s and 80s when a Filipino treasure hunter named Egill Roxas claimed to have found a portion of the treasure, including a golden Buddha and several gold bars. His subsequent legal battle with the Philippine government, which seized his find, added a layer of credibility to the legends, suggesting that there might be truth to the tales of the hidden treasure. Despite extensive searches funded by both private individuals and government entities, no significant verified finds have been made. The Philippine legal system and its landscape have been significantly affected by treasure hunting, which often results in scams, unauthorized digs, and false hopes. Argue that the story of Yamashita's gold might be an elaborate myth, an amalgamation of separate smaller incidences of looting and wartime plundering by various parties, inflated into a grand narrative. Yet the legend persists, fueled by the universal appeal of hidden treasure maps and the dream of discovering vast riches just to dig away. Whether fact or elaborate folklore, Yamashita's gold remains one of the most enduring legends of World War II, a tale that continues to intrigue and captivate the imagination of many around the world. The Amaro treasure is one of the most compelling and tragic maritime stories from World War II, involving a Japanese ship named the Amaro. Human lives and a reputed treasure trove of gold, platinum and diamonds. This saga not only highlights the perils of wartime navigation, but also the intricate tales of lost treasure that emerges from the conflict. The Amaro, originally a passenger cargo ship, was requisitioned by the Imperial Japanese Navy during World War II to serve as a hospital ship. Under international law, hospital ships marked by large red cross symbols were protected from attack and supposed to be immune under the rules of wartime, provided they carried no armament or troops. But the Awa Maru adhered to these guidelines, making her numerous voyages to transport medicine, relief supplies and wounded soldiers. In early 1945, as the war approached its end and resources became scarce, the Awu Maru was granted safe passage by Allies to carry a Red Cross relief shipment from Singapore to Japan. According to accounts, along with medical supplies and relief goods, the ship was allegedly loaded with valuable cargo, including tons of gold, platinum and precious stones, assets looted from Southeast Asia by the Japanese military, intended for use in Japan's war efforts. Upon its return voyage to Japan, after delivering the relief goods in Singapore, the Awu Maru made a fateful navigation error on the night of April 1st, 1945. Despite being clearly marked and illuminated as a hospital ship, she was torpedoed by the American submarines USS Queensfish, under the command of Lieutenant Commander Charles Elliott Loughlin. The submarine's crew mistook the Awu Maru for a military transport, the tragic error that led to the death of all but one of the 2004 people on board. Immediately realizing the mistake, Llywelyn reported the incidents to his superiors. The United States government, acknowledging his grave error, issued an apology to Japan and offered reparations, including to offer another ship as a replacement. However, the incident severely strained relations and added to the wartime animosity. The legend of the Awu Maru's treasure began almost immediately after its sinking, spurred by reports of the ship's mysterious cargo. The allure of such wealth lying on the ocean floor sparked numerous expeditions in the post-war years to locate and salvage the wreck. However, the exact location of the ship in the vast expanse of the sea made these missions incredibly challenging. Various attempts to find the Awu Maru and verify the existence of its reputed treasure have been made over the decades, but none have successfully recovered significant valuables. The ocean's depth, strong currents and the ambiguity surrounding the ship's cargo manifest have contributed to the elusiveness of the treasure. Today, the story of the Awu Maru remains enveloped in mystery and tragedy. Whether the ship actually carried the treasure is rumoured or not, the legend persists, fueled by the human fascination with lost wealth and the secrets that lie beneath the sea. The Awu Maru treasure continues to be a poignant reminder of the cost of war, both in human lives and the lingering legends that outlive the events themselves. The legend of the Nazi gold train, a mysterious convoy purportedly filled with gold, jewels and other treasures looted by the Nazis during World War II, is a gripping tale that has captivated historians, treasure hunters and conspiracy theorists for decades. The story centers around a train that is believed to have disappeared into the lower Silesian region of Poland towards the end of the war, as the Soviet army closed in on retreating German forces. According to various accounts, in the chaotic final days of the Third Reich, as Allied forces advanced into German-held territory, high-ranking Nazi officials ordered the movement of vast quantities of stolen wealth towards safer areas, primarily in the south and east of Germany. The aim was to use these riches to fund a Nazi insurgency after the war or secure personal escape routes. Lower Silesia, with its complex system of tunnels and mines, many of which were part of the secret Nazi Project Risi Giant, was deemed to be a suitable place to hide these assets. The most enduring legend speaks of a train laden with up to 300 tons of gold, as well as significant amounts of other precious loot, which left Breslau, now Wrocław, Poland, somewhere around May 1945. The train is said to have vanished somewhere between Breslau and Waldenburg, now Woolwich, Poland, Over the years, the lack of any documented evidence or eyewitness accounts has not deterred speculation, and numerous expeditions aimed at uncovering the truth behind this legendary train. The story resurfaced with new feather in 2015 when two treasure hunters, a Pole and a German, claimed to have located the train buried in a sealed tunnel near Woolbridge. They appealed to local authorities for permission to excavate the site, asserting their claim based on radar images that purportedly showed a train-shaped anomaly underground. The media frenzy and influx of treasure hunters to the area prompted a serious, albeit cautious, response from the Polish government, which conducted its own geophysical studies of the reported site. Despite extensive searches and investigations, including those conducted by the Polish army and various independent explorers, no concrete evidence of the train's existence has been found. The geological surveys performed have largely debunked the possibility of a train buried in locations specified, suggesting that the anomalies detected could be naturally occurring metals or other geological features. Critics argue that the Nazi gold train is more myth than reality, a modern treasure tale bolstered by the general chaos of wartime record keeping and the known instances of Nazi plunder. The allure of uncovering a hidden cache of incredible wealth, coupled with the horrific legacy of the Nazi regime, makes the gold train a particularly compelling story. Despite the lack of physical evidence, the legend persists, driven by the possibility that somewhere beneath the mountains and forests of Lower Silesia lies a fortune in gold and artifacts stolen during one of the darkest chapters of human history. Whether the Nazi train ever truly existed may remain one of World War II's enduring mysteries, continuing to intrigue and inspire both skepticism and hope. The Honjo Masamje represents one of the most storied and revered artifacts in the realm of Japanese swords, created by the legendary swordsmith Goro Nyodo Masamye. This sword is considered a masterpiece of craftsmanship and a national treasure in Japan. Masamye's swords are renowned for their beauty and quality. The Hijonjo Masamje, named after General Hijonjo Shigenga, who captured it in battle in the 16th century, is perhaps the most famous of all Masamye swords. The history of Honjo Masamye is not just the story of a weapon, but a symbol of Japanese culture and martial heritage. The sword was passed down through generations of feudal lords and became a prized possession in the Gunwa shogunate, symbolizing power and authority. After the Meiji Restoration in 1868, which marked the end of the feudal Japan, the sword continued to be held in high esteem as a cultural icon. However, the whereabouts of the Honjo Masamne became a matter of great mystery following World War II. In the aftermath of Japan's surrender, American occupation authorities ordered all swords owned by Japanese military and police be surrendered. This included family heirloom swords and historically significant pieces. The goal was to prevent the use of swords as weapons in any potential resistant movements, but many swords were also removed as war trophies. According to popular accounts, in 1946, a US serviceman stationed in Japan acquired the Honjo Masamje, among other swords, possibly without understanding its historical and cultural significance. The sword was reportedly turned over to the police station in Menorah, and then at some point it disappeared into the chaos of post-war Japan. The identity of this serviceman and the subsequent chain of custody of the sword remain unknown. Efforts have been made to locate and return Honjo Masamne to Japan, recognizing its immense cultural value and irreplaceable heritage. Various scholars, collectors, and Japanese cultural institutions have been involved in trying to track down the sword, hoping that it might resurface in a private collection, an auction, or possibly be repatriated if found abroad. Despite these efforts, Honjo Masamne remains missing. Its loss is deeply felt not only as a missing piece of Japanese cultural history, but also as a lost artifact of unparalleled craftsmanship by one of the most esteemed swordsmiths in history. The mystery surrounding its disappearance and the quest for its recovery continues to captivate historians, collectors, and enthusiasts around the world, symbolizing not only the tangible loss of heritage, but also the enduring legacy and legendary skill of Masamne. The ongoing search for Honjo Masamne highlights the broader narrative of cultural preservation and the complex legacies of war and occupation. The Patiala necklace was an extraordinary piece of jewellery that epitomised the opulence and splendour of the Indian princely states during the British Raj, commissioned by Maharaja Bipinda Singh of Patiala, one of the richest and most flamboyant Indian princes of the early 20th century. The necklace was a dazzling creation of the French jewellery house Cartier. It represents a significant chapter in the history of luxury, craftsmanship and the global trade in precious gems. Crafted in 1928, the Patiala necklace was designed with an extravagant display of wealth and power. It was composed of 5 rows of platinum chains adorned with 2,930 diamonds, totaling nearly 1,000 carats. The centerpiece of the necklace was the De Beers diamond, a mammoth yellow diamond of 234.65 carats, which was at the time the 7th largest diamond in the world. The necklace also included other large and rare diamonds and was embellished with Burmese rubies, adding to its allure and grandeur. The Maharaja of Patiala was known for his luxurious lifestyle and his passion for exquisite jewellery. The commissioning of the Patiala necklace was part of a larger tradition among Indian royalty to order lavish pieces from European jewellers, a trend that reflected their immense wealth and their connections with European elites. Cartier, known for its exquisite craftsmanship and innovative design, was a favourite amongst Indian princes. The necklace became a symbol of princely state in Patiala's wealth and was worn on significant occasions. However, the history of the Patiala necklace took a dramatic turn in 1948 when it mysteriously disappeared from the Patiala royal treasury. The disappearance of such an iconic and valuable piece caused a sensation and led to much speculation, but it has remained lost for over 3 decades. In 1982, the necklace resurfaced in a rather unexpected manner. A part of it was found at a second-hand jewellery shop in London. The necklace was missing many of its original stones, including the massive De Beers diamond and almost all of the rubies and other large diamonds. It was a shadow of its former glory, and the circumstances of its partial recovery only deepened the mystery of what had happened to it after its disappearance. Cartier eventually acquired the remains of the Patiala necklace and undertook a painstaking restoration project. Given the loss of the original stone, Cartier used synthetic and lesser diamond and other gems to restore the necklace as closely possible to its original design. The restored necklace, whilst no longer possessing all of its original stones, remains a testament to the grandeur of the original creation and a piece of art in its own right. Today, the Patiala necklace, even in its altered state, stands as a symbol of cultural and historical connections between Indian princely states and European luxury goods. It also serves as a reminder of the fleeting nature of material wealth and the enduring value of craftsmanship and beauty. The story of the Patiala necklace continues to fascinate both jewellery lovers and historians, representing a poignant narrative of loss, recovery, and artistic endeavour. Nelson's Knowlege was a remarkable and historically significant jewel awarded to British Admiral Horatio Nelson by the Ottoman Empire after his victory at the Battle of the Nile in 1798. This battle was crucial as it thwarted Napoleon Bonaparte's ambitions in the east and significantly boosted British naval prestige. The Knowlege was not just a military decoration, but a symbol of gratitude and admiration from the Ottoman Sultan Selim III towards Nelson, reflecting the geopolitical alliances at the time. The Knowlege was crafted from diamonds arranged to resemble a plume of feathers, and a design inspired by traditional Turkish military helmet ornament. It featured 13 rays, each tipped with a diamond, and was initially designed to be worn on Nelson's hat, akin to how Ottoman officers wore their feather plumes. The centerpiece of the Knowlege was a large central diamond that rotated, powered by a small watch mechanism, which added to its uniqueness and splendor. Nelson took great pride in wearing the Knowlege, not just because of its intrinsic beauty and value, but also because it represented recognition for his naval prowess by a foreign power. He wore it on his naval uniform, making it a prominent part of his appearance. The Knowlege became synonymous with Nelson's persona, enhancing his image in British society, where he was celebrated as a national hero. However, the story of Nelson's Knowlege took a tragic turn after Nelson's death at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. The Knowlege passed through various hands and was eventually bequeathed to the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich, which was one of Nelson's descendants in 1937. It was displayed there as part of a collection celebrating Nelson's life and naval career. The jewel's journey ended abruptly and shockingly in 1951 when it was stolen from the museum under mysterious circumstances. Despite investigations and widespread media coverage at the time, the Knowlege was never recovered, and details of the theft remain largely unclear. The loss of such an iconic piece of naval and national heritage was a significant blow to the museum and those who valued the historical connection it represented. Today, Nelson's Knowlege continues to captivate the imagination of one of the lost treasures of maritime history. Its disappearance adds a layer of mystery and intrigue to an already legendary figure in British naval lore. The Knowlege not only symbolised Nelson's achievements and the respect he commanded, but also the broader narrative of maritime exploration, military heroism, and a cross-cultural exchange in the age of sail. Cross is a famous piece of treasure associated with an incredible discovery and a dramatic theft, encapsulating a real-life pirate story from the modern era. This emerald-studded gold cross was discovered in a shipwreck off the coast of Bermuda and subsequently stolen in a daring heist, leading to its legendary status amongst lost treasure. The story begins in 1955 when Teddy Tucker, a pioneering treasure hunter and diver, discovered the wreck of San Pedro, a Spanish galleon that sank in 1594 near Bermuda. Among the artifacts recovered from the ocean floor, Tucker found an extraordinary beautiful and valuable piece, a gold cross inlaid with a large flawless emerald at the centre and several smaller emeralds decorating its arms. The cross was a remarkable find, not only because of its age and the quality of the gemstone, but also due to its excellent preservation state. The cross quickly became known as Tucker's Cross, and it was celebrated as one of the most significant finds in history of underwater archaeology. It was featured in several exhibitions and became a symbol of Bermuda's rich maritime history. The government of Bermuda even showcased Tucker's Cross in promotional materials as a treasure of the island, drawing tourists and history enthusiasts alike. However, the story took a twist in 1975, shortly before a scheduled visit by Queen Elizabeth II to Bermuda, during which she was expected to view the cross amongst other artifacts. When officials went to the museum to prepare the cross for an exhibition, they discovered that it had been stolen. In a bold move, the thieves had managed to replace Tucker's cross with a cheap plastic replica, which went unnoticed until the moment the original was meant to be presented. Theft of Tucker's cross sparked massive investigation, but despite extensive efforts by locals and international authorities, the cross was never recovered. The audacious nature of the crime and the fact that the thieves had managed to switch the real cross with a fake added to the mystique surrounding the event. Over the years, various theories have surfaced regarding the fate of Tucker's cross. Some speculate that it was melted down for its gold and gemstones, effectively destroying it. Others believe it may still be intact, possibly hidden away by private collectors. The true circumstances surrounding its disappearance continue to elude detectives and treasure hunters. Today, Tucker's Cross remains one of the most famous lost treasures. Its story, a combination of historical intrigue, remarkable discovery, and unsolved crime. It serves as a reminder of the risks and mysteries involved in the world of treasure hunting and the lengths to which individuals will go to possess such priceless artifacts. The loss of Tucker's Cross is not only a significant cultural and historical tragedy for Bermuda, but also a compelling chapter in the broader narrative of maritime archaeology. The Lufthansa heist is one of the most infamous robberies in American history, immortalized by the sheer audacity and mystery surrounding the unrecovered loot, and its depiction in popular culture, notably in Martin Scorsese's film Goodfellas. This meticulously planned and executed crime targeted the Lufthansa Airlines cargo building at the John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York City on December the 11th, 1978, and resulted in a staggering theft of approximately $5 million in cash and $875,000 in jewelry. The heist was orchestrated by a group of mobsters from the Lucchese crime family, one of the 5 families that dominated organized crime activities in New York City. The mastermind behind the operation was James Burke, also known as Jimmy the Gent, a notorious figure in the mafia underworld known for his criminal savvy and violent behavior. The plan was set into motion after an insider, Louis Werner, who worked at the cargo facility, tipped off the gang about a large sum of money transporting from West Germany to Lufthansa cargo terminal, which were proceeds from an exchange of American currency for military and tourist purposes abroad. On the night of the heist, a group of several masked gunmen, carefully directed by Burke and his associates, infiltrated the cargo area. They took advantage of the lacked security and the inside information provided by Werner. The robbers knew exactly when the money would arrive and had details about the building's layout and security procedures. They managed to subdue the employees present and access the vault containing the cash and jewels with relative ease. Despite the enormous amount of money stolen, the actual execution of the heist involved literal physical violence, though the physical intimidation and precise timing installed fear and ensured control over the situation. After the robbers left, the heist was soon discovered, triggering one of the most extensive criminal investigations of the time, led by the FBI and local law enforcement. However, the aftermath of the heist was marked by a brutal cleanup operation orchestrated by Burke, who was paranoid about being caught. Most of the individuals involved in the heist were murdered or disappeared under mysterious circumstances, effectively silencing potential witnesses and securing Burke's tracks. Louis Werner was later arrested and convicted for his role as an inside man. The Lufthansa heist remains largely unsolved, with most of the money and jewellery never recovered. Over the years, several arrests were made, including high-profile mobsters connected to the crime, but the direct evidence linking them to the heist was limited, and many of the charges were not directly related to the robbery itself. The fascination with the Lufthansa heist continues to endure, partly because of the significant sum stolen and almost mythical status it achieved in the annals of crime history. It remains a pivotal story in the narrative of organised crime in America, highlighting the reach and influence of the mafia in the 1970s, the vulnerabilities in airport security, and the dark allure of the heist plots that continue to captivate the public imagination. Brink's-Mat robbery, which took place on November 26, 1983 at the Heathrow International Trading Estate, remains one of the most infamous heists in the British history. It involves the theft of an estimated £26 million, worth around £79 million today, in gold bullion, diamonds and cash from the Brink's-Mat warehouse. The scale of the robbery and its dramatic aftermath, involving murder, double-crossing and extensive money laundering, has made it a subject of enduring fascination and a dark chapter in the annals of crime. The robbery was planned and executed by a gang of 6 men, some of whom were seasoned criminals with connections to the London underworld. The gang received insider information from Anthony Black, a security guard at the Brink's-Mat warehouse. On the morning of the heist, the robbers, armed and masked, entered the facility using Black's access. They dosed the staff with petrol, threatening to set them on fire unless they cooperated, which ensured compliance. Initially, the robbers expected to find much less in the vault, but stumbled upon 3 tons of gold bullion, along with cash and diamonds. The sheer amount of gold far exceeded their expectations, and posed an immediate problem of how to dispose of and profit from such conspicuous stolen goods. The aftermath of the robbery turned into a complex web of money laundering and violent fallout. Much of the gold was believed to have been melted down and sold on the international gold market, effectively laundering it by turning the bullion into intraceable cash. John Palmer, a notorious gold dealer, was implicated in the smelting and distribution of the gold, although he was later acquitted of all charges related to the Brink's-Mat heist. The substantial proceeds from the crime funded an escalation in criminal activities and lifestyle spending amongst various interconnected members of London's criminal underworld. However, the vast wealth also led to intense police scrutiny and infighting amongst criminals over the division of the spoils. Several of those involved were murdered in disputes over the loot, and others turned informer. All were caught by the police. The investigation into the Brink's-Mat robbery led to a number of convictions. Mickey McAvoy, one of the ringleaders, was sentenced to 25 years in prison, and others associated with the heist were also incarcerated. However, the majority of the gold was never recovered, and many involved in its laundering remained unprosecuted due to the complexity of tracking down the dispersed assets. Over the years, the Brink's-Mat robbery has entered British criminal law as a story of greed, betrayal, and the dark side of the gold trade. It has been subject to numerous documentaries, books, and investigations, each delving into different aspects of the crime and its wider implications on criminal operations in the UK. The robbery not only exposed vulnerabilities in security practices at the time, but it also underscored the challenges law enforcement faces in tackling organised crime and financial laundering on a global scale. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist, which occurred on March 18, 1990, stands as one of the most infamous and largest art thefts in history. The theft took place at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston, Massachusetts. Two thieves disguised as police officers entered the museum under the guise of responding to a call. They subdued the security guards and executed the largest art theft in US history, making off with 13 works valued at approximately $500 million. The stolen pieces include works of renowned artists such as Vermeer, Rembrandt, Degas, and Manet. The heist began in the early hours when the thieves, dressed in police uniforms, convinced the museum's security guards that they were investigating a disturbance. Once inside, they quickly overpowered the guards, handcuffed them, and secured them in the basement. With no alarm system connecting the artworks to the police or any external security firm, the thieves had ample time to select their targets carefully and remove them from their frame. Among the stolen art were Vermeer's The Concert, one of only 34 known works by the artist and considered one of the most valuable stolen paintings in the world. Rembrandt's The Storm on the Sea of Galilee, his only known skiscape, and other priceless pieces. The thieves' selection appeared opportunistic, but highly valuable, indicating some level of premeditation and knowledge of art. Despite the high profile of the case, extensive media coverage, and the involvement of the FBI, no arrests have been made, and none of the artworks have been recovered. Over the years, numerous leads have been pursued, including connections to organized crime, and various theories pointing to inside knowledge of the museum's security protocol. The museum still displays the empty frames of the stolen paintings as a placeholder for the missing works, and as a somber reminder of the theft. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum has offered a reward of $10 million for information leading to the recovery of the stolen art in good condition. This case remains active, with the museum and the federal authorities continuing to seek information that could lead to the resolution of the enduring mystery. The heist not only signifies a significant loss to the cultural heritage and the art community, but it also highlights the challenges and vulnerabilities museums face in securing and preserving such invaluable treasure. The Antwerp diamond heist, dubbed the heist of the century, is one of the most notorious thefts in the history of crime. It took place over the weekend of February the 15th and 16th in 2003 at the Antwerp Diamond Centre in Belgium, where a meticulously executed operation led to the breach of a supposedly impenetrable vault. The thieves made off with an estimated 100 million in loose diamonds, gold, and other jewellery, making it one of the largest diamond heists ever. The Diamond Centre in Antwerp, a city at the heart of the world diamond trade, housed vaults in which numerous diamond brokers stored their goods in safety deposit boxes. The security at the Diamond Centre was formidable, a 10-layered security system that included infrared heat detectors, seismic sensor, Doppler radar, and a magnetic field. The vault itself was protected by a lock with more than 100 million possible combinations, as well as a series of keys and magnetic cards required for access. The mastermind behind the heist was Leonardo Nota Bartolo, a seasoned thief with deep connections in the Italian underworld. Nota Bartolo rented an office in the Diamond Centre 2 years prior to the heist, granting him legitimate 24-hour access to the building. Over time, he and his team, known as the School of Turin for their precision and expertise in theft, meticulously planned the heist. They reportedly used video surveillance, practiced picking locks, and even obtained a replica of the vault door to perfect their method. The operation was executed with high precision. The gang managed to bypass all the security systems, including the sophisticated vault door mechanism. They reportedly used aluminium tape to trick the magnetic sensors and recorded over security cameras to cover their movements. The exact details of how they managed to disarm the sophisticated security system remain partly speculative, but are believed to involve the combination of technical expertise and inside knowledge. Once inside the vault, the thieves took their time to select the most valuable goods, leaving behind less valuable items and ensuring they only took what they could realistically sell on the black market. Total haul was so significant that they could not carry everything and had to leave some behind. Nota Bartolo was arrested after police found evidence linking him to the crime, including DNA evidence on a partially eaten sandwich near the crime scene. In 2005, he was convicted and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Nota Bartolo claimed that he was part of a larger conspiracy and that the heist was a commissioned job, suggesting that other, more influential figures were involved and that the stolen diamonds were actually insured jewels meant to be stolen as part of an insurance fraud scheme. Despite Notabad Tolo's arrest and subsequent jail time, most of the diamonds were never recovered, and the identities of his accomplices remain uncertain. The Antwerp diamond heist continues to be studied as a case of extreme criminal sophistication and a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities that can exist even in the most secure system. It remains a legendary tale in the criminal underworld, showcasing the lengths to which diamond thieves will go to secure their fortune. The Graf Diamonds robbery, which occurred on August 6, 2009, is one of the most audacious jewellery heists in the UK history. Thieves made off with jewellery worth nearly £40 million, around $65 million at the time, from the prestigious Graf Diamond store on New Bond Street in London. The heist was meticulously planned and executed, involving a combination of precise timing and violent threat, although no one was physically harmed. The robbers, 2 men, entered the stores posing as customers. They were well dressed and initially appeared as legitimate clients. The men used professional makeup and latex prosthetics to appear to alter their appearances, thus evading immediate recognition and later identification by witnesses and security footage. Once inside, they pulled out handguns, threatened the staff, and efficiently started collecting the jewels, including rings, bracelets, and necklaces adorned with diamonds. The robbers' approach was calculated. They specifically targeted high-value items that they seemed to know in advance would be available. Within minutes, they had filled their bags with over 40 pieces of jewellery, some containing diamonds that were over 3 carats each. The audacity and speed of the operation allowed them to leave before law enforcement could respond to the scene. After exiting the store, the thieves executed a well-planned escape across the city, which involved multiple vehicle changes to confuse pursuing police. They used a series of getaway cars and even a motorcycle to evade capture. The precision of their escape indicated a high degree of planning and professional execution. The investigation into the robbery was extensive, involving London's Metropolitan Police and international law enforcement agencies. Despite the initial challenges in identifying the robbers due to their disguises and the swift escape, police were eventually able to track down the culprits thanks to forensic evidence left at the various scenes, including a vehicle and a mobile phone. In 2010, several men were arrested and later convicted in connection with the robbery. Amino Salani Aman Kasei, who was identified as the leader of the gang, was found guilty of kidnapping and conspiracy to rob, amongst other charges. The trials revealed the depth of the planning that went into the heist, including rehearsal and the acquisition of the disguises and escape vehicles. Despite the recovery of some of the pieces and the arrest of the perpetrators, a significant portion of the stolen jewels has never been recovered. The Graf Diamonds robbery remains infamous not only due to the value of the stolen item, but also because of the boldness and sophistication of the heist. It highlighted the vulnerabilities in even the most secure luxury establishments and demonstrated the lengths to which organised criminals will go to obtain high value goods. The theft of the Ivory Coast crown jewels in 2011 is a stark example of the vulnerabilities faced by national treasures held around the world. This incident involved the theft of approximately 80 precious artifacts from the Musée des Civilisations de Côte d'Ivoire, located in Abidjan, the country's largest city. The stolen items include gold pendants, necklaces, masks, sculptures and religious artifacts, representing a significant loss to the cultural heritage of the Ivory Coast. The robbery occurred during a period of significant political turmoil and instability in the Ivory Coast. Following the disputed presidential election in 2010, this unrest led to widespread violence and insecurity, conditions that likely facilitated the theft of the crown jewels. The exact details of the robbery, such as the date and the method of the theft, were not widely publicised, which is indicative of the chaotic situation in the country at the time. Stolen artifacts were not just valuable in terms of material composition, they were also irreplaceable pieces of the Ivory Coast's history and cultural identity. These items were used in significant cultural and religious ceremonies and were symbols of the nation's rich traditions and histories. Their loss deprived the country of a vital link to its past and diminished the cultural richness. Following the theft, there was a significant outcry from both local population and the international community. Cultural experts and historians emphasized the importance of these artifacts and urged for their recovery and protection of remaining cultural property. However, recovering stolen cultural items is notoriously challenging, especially in cases where the items might have been smuggled abroad or sold on the black market. As of now, the whereabouts of the Ivory Coast crown jewels remains unknown. There have been no reports of recovery. The theft serves as a reminder of the need for robust security measures at cultural institutions, especially in regions experiencing political and social unrest. It also highlights the global issue of art and cultural property theft, which often goes unreported but can have devastating consequences for national heritage. Efforts to protect and recover cultural artifacts like the Ivory Coast crown jewels require international cooperation and persistent dedication. The loss of such treasures is a loss for the entire world, not just for the nation from which they were stolen, as they represent an irreplaceable part of the human story. Brussels Airport Diamond Heist, which took place on February 18th, 2013, is a standout example of a meticulously planned and boldly executed robbery that shocked the global diamond industry. The heist unfolded at Brussels Airport, one of Europe's key international transit hubs, and involved a highly coordinated attack that led to the theft of diamonds worth an estimated $50 million. This operation showcased not only the audacity of the robbers, but also exposed significant security vulnerabilities at major transportation centres. On the evening of the heist, 8 men dressed in police uniforms and armed with automatic weapons drove 2 black vehicles with blue police-style flashing lights into a highly secure area of the airport. Their target was a swift-bound Helvetic Airways Fokker 100 aircraft that was being loaded with diamonds from Antwerp World Diamond Centre. These diamonds were being transported in the cargo hold and were destined for Zurich. The robbers' vehicles breached the airport perimeter through the hole that they had cut in the security fence. They drove straight to the aircraft, timing their arrival to coincide with the loading of the diamond ship, displaying a chilling level of professionalism and precision. The thieves held the pilots, the crew, and the transport security personnel at gunpoint, forcing them to the ground. They quickly opened the cargo hold, removed approximately 120 parcels, and loaded them into their vehicle. The entire operation took remarkably little time, just under 5 minutes, highlighting the robbers' meticulous planning and execution. After securing the diamonds, the thieves made a swift escape through the same hole in the perimeter fence, leaving behind no casualties and minimal clue. Their vehicles were later found burnt in a nearby village, an apparent attempt to destroy any evidence that could link them to the crime. The audacity and precision of the heist led to immediate comparisons with scenes from Hollywood heist movies. The robbers' ability to execute such a plan without firing a single shot and in such short amount of time underscored the vulnerabilities in airport security systems, particularly those involving valuable cargo. In the aftermath of the heist, Belgian police conducted an extensive investigation that led to multiple arrests across several countries. In May 2013, over 30 individuals were detained in Belgium, France, and Switzerland. Despite these arrests, only a small portion of stolen diamond covered. The majority of the loot remains unaccounted for, and several suspects were later released due to insufficient evidence. The Brussels Airport diamond heist remains one of the most significant robberies in recent history due to the value of the goods stolen and the flawlessness of the execution. It serves as a stark reminder of the ongoing risks associated with the transporting of high-value items and has led to increased security measures at airports worldwide. The heist continues to fascinate both the public and security experts as a case study in both criminal ingenuity and the critical importance in robust security protocols. The Hatton Garden safe deposit burglary, which took place over Easter weekend in April 2015, is one of the most audacious thefts in British history. This heist, executed by a group of elderly men who were experienced thieves, targeted the Hatton Garden Safe Deposit Company in London's Diamond District. This burglary was remarkable not only for the age of the criminals involved, but also for the old school methods they employed to bypass modern security systems. The heist began on the evening of April 2nd, 2015, when the thieves, equipped with a range of heavy duty tools, gained entry to the building through a side door. Once inside, they disabled the elevator and descended down the elevator shaft to the basement where the safe deposit was located. The vault itself was protected by a thick metal door. The gang used high powered drills to bore holes into the concrete wall surrounding the vault door. Over the course of the weekend, the thieves drilled 3 holes into the wall, each about 25 centimeters in depth, which allowed them to insert a special tool to disengage the vault's locking mechanism. This painstaking process required both precision and patience, qualities that the gang, despite their advanced ages, possessed in abundance. The methodological nature of their work allowed them to avoid triggering the sophisticated alarm system that protected the vault. Once inside the vault, the thieves had access to the contents of 72 safety deposit boxes, which contained a vast array of jewellery, precious stones and cash. The total value of the stolen goods was initially estimated to be 14 million, but subsequent evaluations suggest the figure could be much higher, given the nature of the items stored in the boxes. The burglary was discovered on the morning of April the 7th, when staff returned from the holiday weekend. The scene inside the vault was chaotic, with numerous boxes pried open and their contents removed. The police investigation quickly uncovered significant evidence, including surveillance footage that captured the thieves entering and exiting the building. In the ensuing months, the police made a series of arrests, and the culprits, most of whom were seasoned criminals in their 60s and 70s, were brought to trial. The ringleaders received prison sentences, and the case garnered substantial media attention due to the advanced age of the criminals and the old-fashioned methods they used. The story of the Hatton Garden heist has since been dramatized in several films and documentaries, each highlighting the audacity and unexpected nature of the burglary. Despite the recovery of some stolen items and the conviction of the burglars, a significant portion of the loot remains unaccounted for. The Hatton Garden safe deposit burglary remains a remarkable event in the annals of crime, demonstrating that old-school skills can sometimes match and even outwit modern security technologies. The Dresden Green Vault heist, which occurred on November 25th, 2019, stands as one of the most significant art thefts of the 21st century. This meticulously planned and audaciously executed theft targeted the Green Vault, one of the oldest museums in Europe, located in Dresden Castle in Dresden, Germany. The museum is renowned for its collection of treasures, which includes a vast array of precious artifacts dating back to the 18th century. The heist began in the early hours of the morning, when the thieves initiated a distraction by setting fire to a nearby electrical junction box, causing a power outage that affected the streetlights and the museum's alarm system. With the security measures weakened, the thieves used an axe to break through the window, gaining entry into the museum with minimal resistance due to the outage. Once inside, the thieves headed straight for the jewel room, which housed some of the museum's most valuable pieces. In a matter of minutes, they smashed the display cases and grabbed whatever they could, focusing particularly on 3 specific sets of 18th century jewelry, including brilliant cut diamonds and other precious stones. The stolen items included a sword with a hilt encrusted with 9 large and 770 smaller diamonds, the shoulder piece, which contained the famous 49-carat Dresden white diamond, amongst others. The total value of these stolen items was not precisely known, but was estimated to be over 1 billion euros, making this one of the most substantial losses in the history of art theft. The thieves managed to escape before the police arrived, despite the rapid response to the triggered alarm. In the aftermath of the heist, German police launched a massive investigation to track down the perpetrators and recover the stolen treasure. The case involved reviewing hundreds of hours of CCTV footage, as well as appeals to the public for witnesses. Over the subsequent months, several arrests were made, linked to a well-known Berlin criminal family with ties to other high-end stake thieves and organised crime. Despite these arrests, the recovery of the stolen jewels had been challenging. Some of the pieces were so unique and recognisable that selling them on the open market would be nearly impossible without altering them, which would significantly reduce their historical value and financial worth. The ongoing efforts to recover the stolen artifacts involve both national and international law enforcement cooperation. The Dresden Green Vault heist not only underscores the audacity and planning involving in such high-profile crime, but it also highlights the vulnerabilities of even the most secure institution. It serves as a sobering reminder of the continuous risks faced by cultural heritage sites and the importance of advanced security measures and rapid response protocols to such irreplaceable treasures. Tale of Raphael's Lost Painting, Portrait of a Young Man, encapsulates the dramatic narrative of art, war and mystery. Raphael, born Raffaello Sanzino in 1483, was one of the luminaries of a high Renaissance, an artist whose influence on the development of Western art is immeasurable. Among his many celebrated works, Portrait of a Young Man holds a particular intrigue, not only for its artistic merit but also for its disappearance during one of the darkest periods in modern history. Created between 1513 to 1514, Portrait of a Young Man is considered one of Raphael's masterpieces in portraiture, showcasing his skills in capturing the subtlety, expression and complexity of human introspection. The painting is believed to depict a nobleman of the period, possibly a close associate or patron of Raphael, although the exact identity of the subject remains unknown. The work is renowned for its detailed representation of a young man's attire and the contemplative, almost melancholic expression on his face, which offers a window into the personality and mood of the sitter. The painting exemplifies Raphael's prowess and in blending realism with idealism, a hallmark in his mature period. The painting's history took a dramatic turn in World War II. Prior to the war, Portrait of a Young Man was part of Karczewski's collection in Krakow, Poland. However, in 1939, as Nazi forces invaded Poland, the painting was among the numerous artworks seized by the Nazis. Adolf Hitler's regime was notorious for plundering art across Europe, intending either to destroy works deemed degenerate or collect them for Hitler's proposed Führer Museum in Linz, Austria. Portrait of a Young Man was last seen in January 1945. As the war neared its end and the Third Reich's defeat became imminent, Nazi officials were ordered to secure and transport looted artworks to safer locations. During this chaotic period, many artworks were moved from their hiding places. It is during such one transfer that Portrait of a Young Man is believed to have disappeared. The details of its transit are murky, compounded by widespread chaos and the destruction of the final months of war. Since the end of World War II, the whereabouts of Portrait of a Young Man have remained a mystery. Despite extensive investigations and numerous false leads, no concrete evidence of its location has surfaced. The painting is often listed amongst the most important missing artworks of the 20th century. Its loss is not just a cultural tragedy for Poland, but also a significant void in a global artistic heritage. Over the decades, various efforts have been made to locate and recover Portrait of a Young Man. This includes appeals to the public, engagement with international law enforcement agencies, and the use of modern technology to trace and authenticate artworks. The search is further complicated by the possibility that the painting, if it still exists, could be hidden in a private collection, unknown and unrecognizable due to the possible damage or deliberate alteration. The disappearance of Raphael's Portrait of a Young Man continues to captivate historians, art lovers and treasure hunters alike. The story is a poignant reminder of the devastating impact of war on cultural heritage and the enduring importance of protecting and preserving art for the future generations. The hope remains that one day this masterpiece will be found and return to its rightful place in the annals of history.